Chapter 2742. Rumble. Rumble. The cloudless sky above the Chaos Sky City war zone instantly darkened. There was a heavy downpour, and an oppressive feeling assaulted their faces. Oh no! Wu Yu's expression changed drastically when he saw this. He immediately turned around and was about to leave. However, at this moment, a ray of light appeared in the dark sky. The mayor of Tianshu Yuan had arrived. Old Lin, are you going to go back on our agreement? The voice of the mayor of Tianshu Yuan spread out clearly. The children of the Lin family can't die in vain. The angry voice of the Lin family's patriarch came from the darkness. Below, Wu Yu was shocked when he heard this. What's going on? Did Fang Chen really wipe out the children of the Lin family? Recalling the changes on the merit monument and the fury of the Lin family's patriarch, Wu Yu believed it even though he didn't want to. We made an agreement that the three war zones would fight at the same time. Now, the disciples of Tianshu Yuan have wiped out the children of the Lin family, and you want to go back on your word? The mayor of Tianshu Yuan said, "Do you really think I'm afraid of you?" After that, the mayor of Tianshu Yuan directly attacked. Rumble. The void shattered, and the two peak powerhouses fought fiercely with great momentum. Rip. A figure slowly walked out of the void. His appearance immediately made the two powerhouses in the battle stop attacking. Their expressions changed slightly as they looked at the person who came. The person who came was dressed in grey and walked forward with a hunched back. A giant golden dragon circled around his body, and his aura was very terrifying. "The Despair Continent can't withstand the battle between the two of you," the hunched old man said calmly. Hearing this, the patriarch of the Lin family muttered, "Tianshu Yuan has violated the rules and killed the children of the Lin family. We can't take revenge for this." The hunched old man in grey spread out his hands and said, "This is the will of Lord Hand of Despair." After that, he turned around and disappeared. Suddenly, the dark aura in the sky disappeared without a trace. On the other hand, the Lin family head's face was ashen as his expression changed. He looked at the mayor of Tianshu Yuan with eyes full of cold killing intent. However, they did not dare to make a move. He knew better than anyone else how powerful Despair Hand was. The hunchbacked old man with the golden dragon that had just appeared was the #1 general under Despair Hand. At the same time, he was also the leader of the 108 Blood Fiends, the dragon controller. After weighing the pros and cons, the head of the Lin family snorted coldly and quickly retreated. Seeing this, the mayor of Tianshu Yuan smiled. Open. Now that the war in Chaotic Sky City was over, there was no need for the war zone to exist anymore. Tianshu Yuan gently waved his hand, and the huge restriction disappeared. Many core disciples in the war zone walked out in a line. It's over. Ancient God Thunder Cry and the others were delighted. The battle was finally over. Brat, you're really shocking. Seeing that Fang Chen had come out, Wu Yu quickly walked over and teased him. He was already very familiar with Fang Chen, so he was not unfamiliar with him. Your merit points have shot up to 3 million all of a sudden. If my guess isn't wrong, you should have wiped out all the disciples of the Lin family, right? Wu Yu asked anxiously. He was very curious as to how Fang Chen had done it. It's not just wiping them out. Pei Ran could not help but say, "Elder Wu Yu, you didn't see the scene with your own eyes. It was really too shocking." He swallowed and continued, "Brother Fang broke through at the last moment. With his own strength, he suppressed Lin Yuan until he couldn't fight back at all. He also easily broke the famous common life sword art that shook the Despair Continent." Wu Yu was very surprised. After a long while, he slowly said, "I still underestimated your potential." At that moment, the mayor of Tianshu Yuan's body landed on the ground. "All of you have made great contributions to Tianshu Yuan. When we return to Tianshu Yuan, all of you will be heavily rewarded." After the arrangements were made, the group returned to Tianshu Yuan. On the way, Dean, after this battle, it will be impossible for Fang Chen to keep a low profile in Tianshu Yuan, Wu Yu said in a low voice. If the Lin family spreads the news, it will definitely attract the greed of many powerhouses. The Lin family started the war to capture Fang Chen. The mayor of Tianshu Yuan said, "If I'm not wrong, The Lin family probably doesn't want to leak the news because they also want to rope in Fang Chen and even control Fang Chen. Therefore, he won't be in danger in the short term. Moreover, the mayor of Tianshu Yuan seemed to have made a decision. I'm going to send him to a place. Where? Wu Yu asked. The mayor of Tianshu Yuan shook his head and took a step forward, ascending the main peak of Tianshu Yuan. The return of a hero was naturally met with a warm reception. All the core disciples who had survived the war zone in Chaos Sky City breathed a sigh of relief the moment they returned to Tianshu Yuan. Fang Chen's deeds naturally spread in Tianshu Yuan. The hearts of the disciples who had once opposed Fang Chen were filled with fear. How strong was the powerhouse who could kill Lin Yuan? Just thinking about it scared them. They prayed that a big shot like Fang Chen would forget about small fry like them. Otherwise, Fang Chen wouldn't even need to make a move. He only needed to casually say a few words, and the many core disciples who wanted to curry favor with him would frantically deal with them. At this point, the mayor of Tianshu Yuan wasn't prepared to let Fang Chen continue to stay at Sokai Peak. Originally, he was prepared to accept Fang Chen as a disciple, but after thinking about it, he gave up on this idea. He brought Fang Chen to Tianyun Peak and personally announced him as the top disciple of Tianyun Peak. Ancient God Thunder Cry didn't have any objections to this. Fang Chen's battle had shocked the world and caused a huge sensation. However, as the protagonist, he still did things his own way. In his residence, Fang Chen sat on a stone bench and carefully recalled the mysteries of the Sword of Heaven and Earth. To a large extent, the Sword of Heaven and Earth is similar to the common life sword art. However, after fusing with my invincible sword Dao, the Sword of Heaven and Earth's mysteries far surpass the common life sword art. Fang Chen muttered to himself. He took out a scroll from his bosom and slowly opened it. This was the famous common life sword art, and it was also his trump card. A moment later, he finished reading the common life sword art and gently nodded. The common life sword art was indeed worth learning from, but it was limited to this. If he were to give up the invincible sword Dao and focus on the common life sword art, the gains wouldn't make up for the losses. He had derived the invincible sword Dao from the invincible sword Dao. This was the ultimate direction of his sword Dao. So far, his only thought was to use the common life sword art as a supplement to perfect the invincible sword art. Whoosh! The void flickered, and the mayor of Tianshu Yuan personally arrived. Dean. Fang Chen stood up and cupped his fists in greeting. Have a seat. The mayor of Tianshu Yuan sat on a stone bench and chuckled. I heard from ancient God Thunder Cry that you gave many of the spoils of war to them. Your state of mind is far superior to martial artists of the same realm. For you to be able to make such a decision, I thank you on behalf of Tianshu Yuan. Dean, there's no need for that. I also obtained many merit points. Fang Chen gave a simple and honest smile. The mayor of Tianshu Yuan nodded. I came to find you this time to talk about this matter. You obtained the common life sword art. If you don't want to cultivate it, you can sell it to Tianshu Yuan. Oh! The common life sword art is a high-grade sword art. It should be worth around 1 million merit points, the mayor of Tianshu Yuan said. Are you willing? Fang Chen agreed to the dean's request. After all, if he sold it to Tianshu Yuan, not only would he obtain 1 million merit points, but he would also be able to continue his research. Why wouldn't he be happy? You previously had 3.5 million merit points. The common life sword art is 1 million merit points, so you have a total of 4.5 million merit points. The victory of the war zone in Chaotic Sky City was entirely due to your contribution. Therefore, I have decided to give you 500,000 merit points. This way, your merit points will reach 5 million. The mayor of Tianshu Yuan said. Whoosh! He pulled his palm, and an illusory interface appeared in the void. On this interface, there was a series of diagrams. Below each diagram, there was a number label. This is the treasure trove of Tianshu Yuan. You can exchange for anything here, the mayor of Tianshu Yuan said. The number below represents the merit points required for exchange. Fang Chen stared at the illusory interface. There was a dazzling array of treasures on it. He gently touched it with his finger, and suddenly, a large amount of information flowed into his mind. Each of the treasures could cause a great sensation in the outside world. Let me see what I can choose. Chapter 2743. After a quick look, the illusory interface was divided into 4 sections. They were elixirs, weapons, divine arts, and materials. According to the literal meaning, the medicinal pills section had many rare and precious medicinal pills. The weapons section contained all the strongest weapons. The divine arts section corresponded to cultivation methods. As for materials, there were weapons, elixirs, talismans, and many other rare materials. Take your time to think about it. When you've made up your mind, you can exchange for it. The chief of Tianshu Yuan said and turned to leave. The illusory interface remained in the void. Fang Chen calmed down and analyzed carefully. His cultivation had reached the limit of the void ancient realm, and he could not make any progress. The most important thing now was to find a way to reach the star ancient realm. This way, his control of the heavenly path would become stronger, and he would be closer to the supreme law. Elixirs. Fang Chen's eyes fell on the elixirs section. As an alchemist, he naturally knew that elixirs were foreign objects to martial artists. However, there were also times when foreign objects were needed. Choose an elixir that can help me break through without any side effects, Fang Chen said to himself. His finger gently touched the elixirs section, and suddenly, a dazzling array of elixirs appeared in front of him. Cyan Rainbow Elixir, Tai Elixir, 5 Elements Elixir, Ecliptic Heaven Elixir, and so on. They were all rare elixirs that were hard to come by in 10,000 years. As expected of Tianshu Yuan, there are so many elixirs. After carefully looking at the elixirs section, Fang Chen finally saw 2 elixirs. They were the blood-quenching elixir and the unity elixir. These 2 elixirs had completely different uses. They represented 2 different directions to break through to the star ancient realm. Fang Chen carefully looked at the uses of the 2 elixirs. After swallowing the unity elixir, all of one's strength could be completely combined, and thus break through to the star ancient realm. However, the probability of breaking through to the star ancient realm was less than 1%. In other words, swallowing 100 unity elixirs would not guarantee a successful breakthrough. Let's not talk about the probability of breaking through first. It's not realistic to completely combine all of one's strength. Even if forced, there will be some side effects. Fang Chen said. His eyes fell on the blood-quenching elixir. After reading the description of the blood-tempering pill, Fang Chen's interest was piqued. This was because the blood-quenching pill required one's bloodline power. His bloodline was the bloodline of darkness, which was rare even in the primordial chaos. However, because it had evolved through the bloodline copper mirror, it was not very pure. If he consumed a blood-tempering pill, his bloodline power would be even purer. When one's bloodline power reached a certain level of purity, it would erupt with unimaginable power that would help one break through to the star ancient realm. This blood-tempering pill is quite interesting. After weighing the pros and cons, Fang Chen still chose the blood-tempering pill. There were very few blood-tempering pills on the Despair continent, so the price was very high. A single blood-tempering pill required 100,000 merit points to exchange for. The price is too high. Fang Chen shook his head and smiled bitterly, but there was nothing he could do. With a light tap, he exchanged for 10 blood-tempering pills and deducted 1 million merit points. Another 4 million contribution points. Fang Chen smiled. Now that he had the blood-tempering pill, he planned to strengthen the hidden star sword. After cultivating for so long, the hidden star sword had become weaker as his strength increased. Therefore, it was important to improve the quality of the hidden star sword as soon as possible. Yakin. Half a kilogram of yakin cost 100,000 merit points, and the hidden star sword needed at least 5 kilograms, which was another 500,000 merit points. Then, Fang Chen used another 100,000 merit points to exchange for the method of evolution. After the exchange, Fang Chen was still thinking. All of a sudden, he saw a blood-red token the size of a palm on the treasure board, which caught his attention. What is this token? It's worth 4 million merit points. Fang Chen's eyes widened as he looked at the token. Dong. 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 His bloodline power throbbed as if it was resonating with the token. Even the Xuanming's heart was emitting a gentle light as it said anxiously, "Master, this token is not simple. If you can exchange for it, please do so." The continuous abnormal movements of the Xuanming's heart and the dark bloodline made Fang Chen even more curious. He asked the governor of Tianshu Yuan and soon received a reply. This token was called the blood token. The governor of Tianshu Yuan accidentally found it in a forbidden land 100 billion years ago. This token was the key to an ancient world. If one could activate it, they would be able to enter the ancient world to cultivate. If that's all, I'm afraid it's not worth 4 million merit points, right? Fang Chen asked. Based on my observation, this blood token is most likely related to the Bloodline King, the overlord of ancient times. The governor of Tianshu Yuan said, the Bloodline King was very famous. He almost unified the entire ancient chaos with his own strength. He spent his entire life researching all the bloodlines in the world and integrated them into his own body, turning himself into a monster. If you can get the Bloodline King's inheritance with this, you'll have made a fortune. The governor of Tianshu Yuan said, however, ever since I got the blood token, I've been studying it, but I haven't been able to find anything. That's why I put it in the treasury. After listening to the governor of Tianshu Yuan's words, Fang Chen was ready to make a move. The Bloodline King's blood was boiling. Should I exchange for it? Fang Chen hesitated. After a while, Fang Chen decided to exchange for the blood token. To be able to cause the Xuanming's heart and the dark bloodline to resonate, there must be a flaw in this blood token. Perhaps I can study it thoroughly. Anything was possible. In an elegant courtyard, Brother Fang, what business do you have with me? Ancient God Thunder asked with a smile. Brother Thunder, I want to exchange for a supreme treasure. I'm short of 600,000 merit points. Can you lend me some? Fang Chen asked directly. Merit points. Ancient God Thunder somewhat helplessly said, you came too late. I just exchanged my merit points for a divine art, and I only have 100,000 merit points left in the token. If you don't think it's too little, you can use these 100,000 merit points for now. Fang Chen nodded and took the 100,000 merit points from Ancient God Thunder. I'll pay you back. After saying this, Fang Chen turned and left. Ancient God Thunder was curious as he watched him leave. Just what kind of supreme treasure did this guy exchange for? He was someone who had 3 to 4 million merit points. Fang Chen quickly found Gong Wei. The latter had left behind 200,000 merit points, which he lent to Fang Chen. He originally had 5 million merit points, but after exchanging them for 10 blood-tempering pills, 5 Yaku gold, and 1 evolution technique, he spent a total of 1.6 million merit points. Now, he only had 3.4 million left. Ancient God Thunder had borrowed 100,000 and Gong Wei had borrowed 200,000, so he was still short of 300,000 merit points. Fang Chen went to find the former third-ranked disciple of Skycloud Peak, Pei Ran. The latter had a wooden personality and was quietly sitting in front of a pond fishing. Brother Fang. Seeing Fang Chen arrive, a smile appeared on his wooden face. He put away his fishing rod and brought Fang Chen to a pavilion to sit down. Brother Pei Ran, lend me 300,000 merit points. Fang Chen went straight to the point. When I earn more merit points in the future, I'll pay you back double. Pei Ran did not say anything. He directly threw his token to Fang Chen. This is all of my merit points. I only have 400,000 left. You can take them all. Many thanks. I only need 300,000. After leaving Pei Ran's residence, Fang Chen had already gathered 4 million merit points. After returning to the courtyard, he impatiently exchanged for the blood token. Whoosh! With a flash of blood-red light, a token appeared in the air and landed in Fang Chen's palm. You actually exchanged for the blood token? In an instant, the mayor of Tianshu Yuan appeared and looked at Fang Chen with some surprise. Fang Chen grinned and did not explain too much. Well, since you've already exchanged for it, I won't say anything else. I hope you can research something useful. The mayor of Tianshu Yuan gently nodded. Before leaving, he reminded Fang Chen, never drip your blood essence on the blood token for experiments. Fang Chen played with the blood token, recalling the words of the mayor of Tianshu Yuan. What did that mean? Could it be that the mayor of Tianshu Yuan had done such experiments before and that there would be unbearable consequences? After thinking for a moment, Fang Chen put away the blood token. I'll study it after my cultivation increases and the hidden star sword evolves. Chapter 2744. Tianshu Yuan, Tianyun Peak. Fang Chen sat cross-legged in his residence, surrounded by a powerful formation. No one could enter without his permission. He could cultivate in peace without worrying about anything else. He opened his palm, and a blood-red blood-quenching pill suddenly appeared. There was a black line in the red, which was the sign of a superior-grade blood-quenching pill. It was already the pinnacle of blood-quenching pills. It's very difficult for an ordinary alchemist to refine a blood-quenching pill of this level. Fang Chen said. Even in Tianshu Yuan, there were only a handful of alchemists who could refine such a pill. As an alchemist, Fang Chen's alchemy skills were not very high, but he still had a good eye. He could see the essence of this blood-quenching pill at a glance. Before swallowing a blood-quenching pill, I have to activate the bloodline in my body. Then, I have to wrap the blood-quenching pill with the power of the bloodline and completely dissolve it. Only then can I minimize the side effects of the blood-quenching pill. Fang Chen's mind was filled with information about the blood-quenching pill. After thinking for a moment, Fang Chen adjusted his body to the best state and put the blood-quenching pill in his palm into his mouth. Buzz! The dark bloodline was instantly activated. The powerful bloodline power surged wildly and completely wrapped around the blood-quenching pill in an instant. Hiss! Fang Chen could see the crazy bloodline power wrapping around the blood-quenching pill and melting it. In the blink of an eye, half of the blood-quenching pill had melted. At this moment, Fang Chen's face showed a trace of a smile. Everything was normal. The dark bloodline power was melting the blood-quenching pill. A moment later, the blood-quenching pill was completely melted. The vast power was completely integrated into the dark bloodline. Rumble. Deafening noises rang out incessantly. After the dark bloodline absorbed the power of the blood-quenching pill, it seemed to be evolving. Not enough power. Fang Chen swallowed the second blood-quenching pill without hesitation to help the dark bloodline evolve. The third, fourth, fifth. In just an hour, Fang Chen had swallowed 9 blood-quenching pills in a row. If it were an ordinary person, their body might have been crushed by the power of the blood-quenching pills. Nevertheless, Fang Chen's chaotic origin sword body was able to display a frighteningly powerful defense at this moment. Under the shackles of the chaotic origin sword body, even though the darkness bloodline was frenzied, it could only hide within his body. Crack! The darkness bloodline was a bloodline of extreme yin and extreme cold. But now, the blood-quenching pill was so powerful that it directly refined all the yin energy in the darkness bloodline. Dong! Fang Chen felt as if his body was about to explode. He was undergoing a metamorphosis. The power of absolute frost in the darkness bloodline seems to be disappearing. Fang Chen gritted his teeth and finally decided to swallow the last blood-tempering pill. Voila! After the 10th blood-tempering pill melted, the darkness bloodline erupted with its most primal power. The power of extreme yin and extreme cold was completely dispersed, replaced by the power of extreme yang and extreme yang. Fang Chen felt an extremely vast power surging within his body. Rip! He stood up abruptly and felt the entire void tremble. A casual punch from him could cause the earth to tremble and the void to shatter. Breakthrough! When the power in one's body accumulated to a certain level, it would erupt with unimaginable power. Fang Chen had been accumulating power ever since his cultivation reached the limit of the void ancient realm. Moreover, his true combat power was comparable to the limit of the star ancient realm. After swallowing the 10 blood-tempering pills, the darkness bloodline evolved and his body underwent a huge transformation. Hiss! Hiss! Sword Dao runes flashed all over his body. One could see a trace of the power of the darkness bloodline in each of these runes. In the blink of an eye, the darkness bloodline covered the Sword Dao runes. When the Sword Dao runes merged with the darkness bloodline, a thunderous sound came from his body. Like a bomber, his strength rose steadily, and his aura rose to the peak. Roar! He roared into the sky, venting the power in his body. In the sky, the wind and clouds changed drastically. The entire land seemed to have fallen into a world of darkness. Fang Chen clenched his fist, grabbing the entire void in his hand. Break! He spat out a word, and the chaotic origin sword body completed its final transformation. Boom! A huge pit appeared under his feet. The chaotic origin sword body's strongest power burst out, helping his cultivation to enter the Star Ancient Realm. Heavenly Tao energy surrounded his body. In Fang Chen's mind, a mighty power surged. The power of faith. Fang Chen thought. The power of faith in the Azura universe was incomparably vast after the baptism of countless years. At this crucial moment, the appearance of the power of faith made the breakthrough even more natural. Catcher! Thunder flashed in the sky. Boundless light drowned everything. The core disciples of the heavenly cloud peak were stunned. What's that? Heavens, boundless light, what's going on? Is someone breaking through to the Star Ancient Realm? It shouldn't be. At the same time, countless noises could be heard. Many core disciples were gathered in the square. They were dumbstruck as they stared at the shocking light in the sky. Under normal circumstances, a martial artist breaking through from the Void Ancient Realm to the Star Ancient Realm would have at most 100 feet of light. There were very few who could reach 1,000 feet of light. Even the most outstanding geniuses of Tianshu Yuan, such as Ancient God Thunder Cry, Gong Wei, Pei Ran, and the others, did not reach 1,000 feet of light when they broke through to the Star Ancient Realm. It must be him. Ancient God Thunder Cry and the other two appeared one after another, standing side by side. A complicated look appeared in their dark eyes. In their opinion, Fang Chen was monstrous enough. He had single-handedly exterminated the Lin family, Lin Yuan. But now, after seeing the boundless light, they sighed in their hearts. A peerless genius that had not appeared in 10,000 years. In the clouds, the Tianshu Yuan's mayor and many other higher-ups also appeared. When they saw the boundless light, they were also a little stunned. After a long time, an elder sighed and said, "Amazing, really amazing. This is the genius with the most heaven-defying potential I have ever seen in my life." Yes, after breaking through to the Star Ancient Realm, the boundless light shrouded his body. This alone is something that few people in the vast primordial chaos can achieve. Since ancient times, the boundless light has been passed down in myths and legends. Even geniuses like Jiyu Tianhua of the Jiyu family and Lin Qian of the Lin family were not so dazzling when they broke through to the Star Ancient Realm, right? Many higher-ups were talking one after another, their eyes full of excited smiles. The Tianshu Yuan's mayor was the happiest, and his heart trembled. God bless my Tianshu Yuan. Ha ha ha. From this moment on, he had already regarded Fang Chen as the successor of the Tianshu Yuan's next dean. Because Fang Chen's potential was worthy of this honor. What an unexpected guy, the Tianshu Yuan's mayor said. On Tianyun Peak, the boundless light shrouded Fang Chen's body as he looked up at the void. His body seemed to have become one with the twinkling stars in the sky, and his strength climbed to the peak. This should be the star baptism to step into the Star Ancient Realm, right? Fang Chen murmured. However, he did not expect that he would be able to trigger the boundless light. Rumble. After a short while, the star baptism ended, and the boundless light sank into Fang Chen's body. The sky returned to calm, and his cultivation had completely stabilized at the early stage of the Star Ancient Realm. Phew. Breathing a sigh of relief, Fang Chen felt his tense body finally relax. The Star Ancient Realm, huh? Fang Chen said with a grin, feeling extremely carefree. After fighting for so many years in the primordial chaos, he had finally stepped into the Star Ancient Realm, which was a perfect step. In the Star Ancient Realm, he could destroy stars with a wave of his hand and the primordial chaos with a flick of his finger. It was only at this moment that Fang Chen truly possessed the power to destroy the world. Buzz. A lot of information about the Star Ancient Realm poured into his mind in an instant. Before stepping into the Star Ancient Realm, I could fight against an expert at the peak of the Star Ancient Realm with the invincible sword principle. Now that I have successfully stepped into the Star Ancient Realm with the help of 10 blood-tempering pills, I wonder how much my combat strength has increased. Fang Chen was quite curious and eager to try. However, at this moment, he found the blood flowing in his body. At first glance, Fang Chen was a little surprised. Chapter 2745. The dark bloodline, which used to be the coldest of yin, suddenly became the most masculine of yang. Moreover, the dark bloodline seemed to contain a trace of inexplicable power. Has the dark bloodline evolved? Fang Chen murmured. Information about the dark bloodline suddenly appeared in his mind. The dark bloodline was already considered a super powerful bloodline in the ancient Saint Chaos, but it was nothing in the immemorial chaos. According to the information circulating in the world, the dark bloodline was a branch of the black hole bloodline. The black hole bloodline was one of the 5 most powerful bloodlines in the world. In the ancient times, there were only a handful of experts with the black hole bloodline in the immemorial chaos. However, after the Battle of Gods, the black hole bloodline was completely extinct. So far, the black hole bloodline had not appeared in the immemorial chaos. Will it evolve into the black hole bloodline? Fang Chen was quite excited. It would be great if it could evolve into the black hole bloodline. The black hole bloodline was one of the 5 most powerful bloodlines. After the bloodline power was activated, it could devour any bloodline for its own use. It was very powerful. After the excitement, Fang Chen curled his lips. He knew very well how powerful the black hole bloodline was. Among billions of dark bloodlines, there might not be one that could evolve into the black hole bloodline. The probability was so small that Fang Chen did not have any hope at all. Forget it. Let it evolve into whatever it can. Fang Chen was in a good mood. He was not obsessed with the black hole bloodline. Whoosh, whoosh. Several whistling sounds came from the air. Fang Chen looked up and saw many high-level officials, led by the chief of Tianshu Yuan, had gathered. You broke through? The chief of Tianshu Yuan's gentle voice came. Fang Chen nodded and saluted the high-level officials. Then he said, I was lucky to use the blood-tempering pill to break through to the Star Ancient Realm. Fang Chen, your potential is obvious to all. There's no need to be humble. Yes, if nothing happens to you, you're destined to be the protagonist of this era. You'll reach the top in the future. Train hard and don't think about anything else. Tianshu Yuan is your strong backing. Ha ha ha, it's been a long time since I've seen such a good seedling. What a pity. If I could take you as my disciple, I would have no regrets in my life. Many of the senior elders spoke one after another, showing great concern for Fang Chen. Fang Chen was a little confused. He had only broken through to the Star Ancient Realm. Was there a need for this? Was it because he had broken the Lin family's Lin Qian's record of being the fastest to break through to the Star Ancient Realm? After thinking about it for a moment, Fang Chen nodded. Only this record could cause so many Life Ancient Realm elders to praise him. You should focus on polishing your body. There are still some side effects from the blood tempering pill, but you don't have to worry. If you need anything, just let me know. After saying that, the chief of Tianshu Yuan left the courtyard with many elders. Outside the courtyard. Dean, are we just going to ignore him like this? An elder asked. Yes, this child's potential is obvious to all. If we train him well, he will definitely advance by leaps and bounds. I think we should make Fang Chen the highest-ranking disciple in Tianshu Yuan. We should give him more resources and train him as the dean's successor. The chief of Tianshu Yuan shook his head. Since ancient times, which peerless powerhouse has buried himself in cultivation before becoming famous? If they don't experience any setbacks, they can easily obtain something that others can't in their lifetime. Such geniuses often lose themselves. The chief of Tianshu Yuan also had his own considerations. Besides, given the current situation, the Lin family will not let this matter rest. If they know that Fang Chen's breakthrough was so dazzling, how will they feel? The chief of Tianshu Yuan asked. Don't forget that the Lin family's purpose in starting the war was to capture Fang Chen. Now that Fang Chen has escaped the Lin family's sight for a short time, we can't let this matter be known. Hearing this, the elders nodded and left one after another. The chief of Tianshu Yuan was the only one who turned his head to look in the direction of Fang Chen's courtyard. His heart was trembling because Fang Chen's breakthrough to the Star Ancient Realm had unknowingly broken 2 major records. The first was Lin Qian of the Lin family's record of being the fastest to break through to the Star Ancient Realm. The second was the dazzling light caused by the breakthrough. If these two pieces of news were to spread, it would definitely cause a commotion among the peerless powerhouses of the primordial chaos. One could imagine that not only Qianshu Yuan, but the entire continent of despair would be plunged into chaos. We must ensure Fang Chen's safety. The chief of Qianshu Yuan clenched his fists and said to himself. Then, he gritted his teeth and seemed to have come to a decision. He quickly walked to the back of the main peak. The back of the main peak was a forbidden area in Qianshu Yuan. No one had the right to enter unless they had the dean's permission. Thump, thump, thump. The dean quickly walked to the back of the main peak and stopped in front of a cave. This cave had accumulated a great deal of dust over the years. The surrounding branches and leaves of towering trees had completely entangled the entrance of the cave. At first glance, it looked like an abandoned cave. However, only the chief of Qianshu Yuan knew that this cave contained the most powerful heritage of Qianshu Yuan. Buzz. The chief of Qianshu Yuan waved his hands and formed a series of complicated seals. These seals continued to morph in the air, eventually forming a complex pattern. Dong. The pattern flashed and disappeared into the cave. At the same time, an ancient voice rang out in the chief of Qianshu Yuan's mind. What is it? Listening to the voice, one could almost feel that the owner of the voice was a dying man. It was as if dust was about to return to the earth. The hoarse voice revealed the erosion of time. Ancestor, a peerless genius has appeared in our Qianshu courtyard. He's a once-in-a-lifetime genius. The chief of Qianshu Yuan cupped his fists respectfully and said. The cave was silent. The owner of the voice seemed to be lost in thought. After a long time, the ancient voice spoke again. How peerless. The words were short, as if they were gold. He broke through to the void ancient realm in 17,000 years. After coming to Qianshu Yuan, he stepped into the Star Ancient Realm in less than 1,000 years. He broke the record for the fastest time in the primordial chaos, and, the chief of Qianshu Yuan paused for a moment. The ancestor in the cave seemed to be very calm. When he broke through to the Star Ancient Realm, he triggered a blinding light. Boom. When the chief of Qianshu Yuan finished speaking, a storm of power surged in the calm cave. Seeing this, the chief of Qianshu Yuan couldn't help but take a few steps back. Blinding light? The hoarse voice sounded again, and it contained a trace of surprise. No wonder I sensed someone breaking through in the outside world. At that time, I thought that your cultivation had reached another level and caused such a commotion. Your purpose in coming here is to have me send him away. Ancestor, the Lin family already knows of Fang Chen's existence. If we push them too far and they leak the news, it will inevitably cause chaos in the primordial chaos. When that happens, Qianshu Yuan won't be able to protect Fang Chen, the chief of Qianshu Yuan said. Therefore, I implore you to take action and send him to the Void Star Realm. Hearing this, the cave returned to silence. The ancestor fell into silence. Ancestor, this child is the hope of Qianshu Yuan's rise. Can you watch him fall in front of so many peerless powerhouses? The chief of Qianshu Yuan said anxiously. I understand. You can go back first. As the voice spoke, the branches around the cave returned to their original state. Seeing this, the chief of Qianshu Yuan bowed to the cave and left. After breaking through to the Star Ancient Realm, Fang Chen began to comprehend the evolution method of the hidden star sword. To put it bluntly, it was a method of weapon refinement. He was a master of weapon refinement and could refine void fragmentation grade weapons. However, after coming to the primordial chaos, this little trick of his was useless. Therefore, in order to evolve the hidden star sword, not only did he need the help of the supreme material Yakin, but he also needed a powerful evolution method. After spending 3 days, Fang Chen fully comprehended the evolution method. After that, Fang Chen used another half a year to familiarize himself with the evolution method. Finally, after half a year, he could control the evolution method as he wished. Moreover, the success rate had reached 100%. Old friend, don't worry. It's your turn soon. Seeing the restless hidden star sword, Fang Chen grinned. Buzz Chapter 2746. From his Sumeru ring, Fang Chen took out the refining table and various tools that he used to refine weapons. Finally, he prepared Yakin and other materials. Evolving the hidden star sword was much more complicated than refining it from scratch. Fortunately, Fang Chen used 100,000 merit points to exchange for an evolution method. If everything went well, he would be able to succeed in one try. After everything was ready, he placed the hidden star sword on the refining table. The hidden star sword knew that its master was helping it, so it was very cooperative. Buzz flames soared into the sky and the sea of flames engulfed the hidden star sword. After a while, a hissing sound was heard. Then, Fang Chen put all the supplementary materials into the sea of flames. Crack the origin of fire in the sea of flames refined all the supplementary materials at a speed that was invisible to the naked eye and quickly integrated them into the hidden star sword. Yakin. In the blink of an eye, Fang Chen put 2.5 kilograms of Yakin into the sea of flames. Only the powerful force of the sea of flames could burn Yakin. Seeing Yakin melting, Fang Chen heaved a sigh of relief. Everything was going smoothly as expected. Next, it would be a long process of tempering. This kind of thing needed to be done slowly and could not be rushed. Time flew by and 3 months passed in the blink of an eye. During this period, Fang Chen had been polishing the hidden star sword until all of Yakin's energy was integrated into the sword. The hidden star sword soared into the sky from the sea of flames and turned into a long rainbow that soared into the clouds. After a while, the hidden star sword made a clanging sound and the tip of the sword was stabbed into the ground. The sword shook and emitted a dazzling luster. Chaotic grade. Fang Chen was very excited. The evolution method was surprisingly smooth. In just 3 months, the hidden star sword had been polished into a primal chaos class weapon. In the ancient sacred chaotic world, a void fragmentation grade weapon was already the peak. In the ancient chaotic world, even a void fragmentation grade weapon was not enough. Especially after stepping into the Star Ancient realm, weapons were extremely important. What a strong power! Fang Chen held the sword hilt. Suddenly, a vast power surged into his body and his heart trembled. Above the void fragmentation grade was the chaotic grade. Although it was only one grade, the difference between the two grades was thousands of miles. Only Fang Chen could understand it. He gently waved his hand a few times. The blade of the sword was incomparably sharp, and it easily cut through the void. The vast heavenly energy was sliced apart by the sword. Amazing! Fang Chen praised. After the hidden star sword completed its evolution, it would need a period of silence. Fang Chen placed it in his spatial ring so that it could be consolidated. As for himself, he took out a scroll. There were 3 bold and powerful words written on it: Soul Spirit Art. This was one of the 3 supreme divine techniques that Fang Chen had obtained in the celestial Venerable Sea. Fang Chen had never been able to cultivate this supreme divine art that targeted the Yuan spirit. Now that he had stepped into the Star Ancient realm, he could finally comprehend it. The primordial spirit is divided into 9 levels. Above the 9 origin stage is the King stage, then the Emperor stage, and finally the Emperor stage. Fang Chen murmured. Since ancient times, there had been countless almighties. However, those who were able to reach the pinnacle were all terrifying primordial spirits of the Emperor realm. Such a primordial spirit could destroy everything with just a thought. After the transformation, Fang Chen's primordial spirit had reached the early stage of the King realm. Amongst the many ancient gods, primordial spirits at the King realm were nothing. The Soul Spirit mantra, when cultivated to perfection, could raise the level of the primordial spirit. This was a rare supreme technique of the Soul Tao. Begin your cultivation. Fang Chen sat cross-legged on the ground and began to cultivate the Soul Spirit art. After the war ended, the Lin family suffered a heavy blow, especially the deaths of Lin Yuan and the others, which caused the Lin family to suffer heavy losses. Originally, the head of the Lin family wanted to take revenge, but at the crucial moment, the dragon controller appeared and forced him to stop. The Lin family mansion. Patriarch, Are we just going to give up on this matter? When has the Lin family ever suffered such humiliation? We are not willing to accept this. That's right. Lin Yuan and the others were the future hope of the Lin family. They were killed by the disciples of Tianshu Yuan. We must avenge them. Many of the Lin family elders spoke with righteous indignation. The head of the Lin family's face was full of anger, but he forcibly suppressed it. The dragon controller represents the will of the Hand of Despair. Once the rules are violated, the Hand of Despair will definitely take action, the head of the Lin family said. Although his strength was much stronger than the dragon controller, it was obvious that he was wary of the dragon controller. At the mention of the Hand of Despair, many of the Lin family elders looked at each other. A trace of fear flashed in the depths of their eyes. The absolute ruler of the continent of despair was also a famous peerless expert in the primordial chaos. The Hand of Despair appeared and disappeared unpredictably. No one had ever seen him in person, not even the dragon controller. Some people even suspected that the Hand of Despair really existed on the continent of despair. However, every time someone doubted or even jumped out to openly resist, a mysterious giant hand would descend from the sky and kill them. Over time, no one doubted the might of the Hand of Despair anymore. The Dragon Tamer was the leader of the 108 Blood Fiends, an ancient life realm expert. Every time he appeared, it represented the Hand of Despair. Head of the family, the Lin family owed the Dragon Controller a favor back then. Can we ask him privately? That's right. Ask the Dragon Controller and see what the Hand of Despair means. If he agrees, we will join forces with the Hand of Despair and destroy Tianshu Yuan. Alright, let's not talk about it anymore. I know what to do. The head of the Lin family said in a deep voice. The entire Lin family fell into a dead silence. Meanwhile, at a certain peak in the distant continent of despair, the tall peak rose steeply from the ground. It was surrounded by a vast expanse of snow. The environment was so harsh that almost no one came here. The temperature here could instantly freeze the Yuan spirit of an ordinary primordial chaos expert. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. A black shadow suddenly appeared on the barren plains, followed by the roar of a dragon. At first glance, the black shadow was surrounded by a golden dragon. The Dragon Controller, the leader of the 108 Blood Fiends, the Dragon Controller. He climbed the peak at an incomparably fast speed and arrived at the peak of the mountain. The peak rose steeply from the ground, towering into the clouds. It was surrounded by a vast expanse of white. At the center of the peak was a thatched hut. The Dragon Controller came to the front of the thatched hut and bowed deeply. Master, the Dragon Controller said in a hoarse voice. If the outside world heard this, they would be incomparably shocked. This was because in the entire Despair continent, only the legendary Hand of Despair could be addressed as Master by the Dragon Controller. The war between Tianshu Yuan and the Lin family has stopped, the Dragon Controller said respectfully. However, the thatched hut was very calm, as if there was only air. After I brought Master's order, I found a peerless genius, the Dragon Controller continued. I observed his bone age and found that he was less than 20,000 years old. However, his cultivation base had already reached the limit of the primordial chaos realm, and he even appeared in the battle zone of the chaotic sky city. The Dragon Controller knew very well what this meant. The primordial chaos realm cultivation base had the battle prowess of a star ancient realm expert. Most importantly, this person's bone age was less than 20,000 years old. Boom! Suddenly, a vast power came from the quiet thatched hut. The golden dragon around the Dragon Controller let out a loud dragon roar, as if it was terrified. The Dragon Controller's body involuntarily took a few steps back. When he stabilized his body, a black shadow shrouded in an aura of despair appeared outside the thatched hut. An ancient god less than 20,000 years old? The evil voice asked. That's right. Master should know that I have cultivated the Heaven's Eye, and my partner can see the bone age of any martial artist in the world, the Dragon Controller said. This was the Dragon Controller's unique skill. Even Jiyu Tianhua of the Jiyu family didn't enter the primordial chaos realm so quickly, the evil shadow said indifferently. The Dragon Controller stood respectfully to the side, listening to his master speak. Bring him to me. Yes, Master. The dragon controller nodded and disappeared from the mountain peak. The evil shadow gradually revealed his true appearance. His face was ferocious, and he was a one-armed old man. His eyes were blue and flashed with an incredible light. After so many years, I finally found such a perfect primordial spirit. The evil one-armed old man said greedily. Chapter 2747. Fang Chen's primordial spirit had advanced further and reached the middle stage of the king realm. Among the younger generation, it was not easy. One day, Fang Chen suddenly wanted to study the scarlet token on a whim. He looked at the scarlet token in his palm and studied it for a long time, but he couldn't find anything. He used his divine sense to penetrate the crimson token, but he found nothing inside. What does this scarlet token contain? Fang Chen couldn't figure it out. He even participated in the study of the heart of Xian Ming, but in the end, he couldn't find anything. Fang Chen was a little helpless. Suddenly, he thought of what the chief of Qianshu Yuan said. Never inject your own blood essence into the scarlet token. Fang Chen's heart stirred. It was as if he wanted to give it a try and see what the consequences would be. It's just a drop of blood essence. I'll try it. If there's anything wrong, I'll stop immediately. He comforted himself. After a while, everything was ready. Fang Chen bit his finger and a drop of blood essence instantly emerged. He dropped the blood essence on the scarlet token with a nervous heart. Buzz! The scarlet token instantly swallowed the blood essence, and then a rich scarlet aura burst out in an instant, drowning the whole world, including Fang Chen. Oh no! Fang Chen shouted in his heart. He exerted all his strength to resist, but it was useless. The power contained in the scarlet aura was so strong that it kept corroding his whole body. Damn it, how could this be? Fang Chen cursed. He couldn't resist at all. Hiss. The blood essence drilled into the scarlet token, and the power of the dark bloodline spread out. Buzz. The scarlet token seemed to have sensed the aura of the dark bloodline and suddenly changed. The palm-sized scarlet token instantly turned into a terrifying vortex. The vast power enveloped Fang Chen and pulled his body into it. No, Fang Chen roared hysterically, but in the end, he was still drowned in the vortex. When Fang Chen disappeared, the vortex also dissipated instantly. The crimson token collapsed in the void with a boom. The scarlet aura between heaven and earth also gradually dissipated. Voila! In the void, a figure whizzed over. He looked around and stared straight at the courtyard below. His face was extremely gloomy. Blood order. Chief Qianshu Yuan could sense the aura of the blood-colored token permeating the air. Did Fang Chen drip his blood on the scarlet token? The chief of Qianshu Yuan looked very gloomy, and his heart was filled with helplessness. He recalled the first time he had obtained the blood token. He had dripped his essence blood on it and had almost died. At that time, he'd lost half his life. Fortunately, he'd executed his trump card at the last moment and was rescued by the ancestor, allowing him to survive. He didn't expect that Fang Chen would still drip his essence blood on the scarlet token even though he'd warned him not to. The chief of Qianshu Yuan's heart was filled with pain. His figure flashed, and he once again arrived at the forbidden area at the back of the mountain. Before he could speak, the ancestor in the cave spoke. A powerful force erupted from the scarlet token and shredded his body. Hearing this, the chief of Qianshu Yuan was stunned. His face was filled with a complicated expression, and his heart was filled with pain. Fang Chen's potential was obvious to all. He was the strongest in the world. If he was nurtured well, he was destined to become a peerless powerhouse who stood at the peak of the primordial chaos. But now, he had lost his life in an accident. Ancestor. The chief of Qianshu Yuan said sadly. I wanted to help, but it was too late. A sigh came from the cave. When the scarlet token self-destructed, the power that erupted was extremely powerful. Even he couldn't save Fang Chen in time. Forget it, forget it. The chief of Qianshu Yuan flicked his sleeves and turned to leave. Except for the higher-ups of Qianshu Yuan, no one knew that Fang Chen had died not long ago in the explosion of the scarlet token. Night shrouded the earth, and the stars in the sky flickered. A golden figure came whistling and hovered in mid-air, standing proudly. Chief of Tianshu Yuan. The sound of rolling thunder spread into the main peak of Tianshu Yuan. Whoosh! In the darkness, the chief of Tianshu Yuan leaped into the air and looked at the dragon controller. What business does the dragon controller have visiting so late at night? The chief of Tianshu Yuan asked. After what happened during the day, the chief of Tianshu Yuan's face was full of fatigue. His heart was filled with pain. Fang Chen was a prodigy that he thought highly of, but he died in Tianshu Yuan. Afterward, he kept blaming himself. If he had spoken up to stop Fang Chen when he chose to exchange for the blood token back then, such a tragedy would not have happened. Originally, he was going to ask the ancestor to use his extraordinary means to send him into the starless realm. Who would have thought that this would happen? I came to Tianshu Yuan on the orders of my master to ask for a person, the dragon controller said faintly. Although his cultivation was not as high as the chief of Tianshu Yuan, his status was not low at all. In the final analysis, it was because behind him stood the master of the Despair continent, Lord Hand of Despair. Otherwise, the chief of Tianshu Yuan wouldn't have paid attention to a mere peak life ancient realm expert. You want a person? The chief of Tianshu Yuan asked in confusion. Back in the chaotic Sky City war zone, among the many core disciples, there was a peak void ancient realm disciple. My master ordered me to bring him back, the dragon controller said. Hearing this, the chief of Tianshu Yuan's expression changed. You mean Fang Chen? The chief of Tianshu Yuan asked. The dragon controller nodded. In fact, he didn't know Fang Chen's name. I'm really sorry that you're late, the chief of Tianshu Yuan said. If it were anyone else, they would have been driven away by the chief of Tianshu Yuan. Not to mention that he was in a very bad mood right now. He had just lost a peerless genius disciple. However, the dragon controller came on behalf of the Hand of Despair. He didn't dare to offend him. The dragon controller asked, what's going on? Before, the chief of Tianshu Yuan told the dragon controller everything that had happened. The latter frowned. Obviously, he didn't believe the chief of Tianshu Yuan's words. He spread out his divine sense, enveloping the entire Tianshu Yuan, and carefully investigated. A moment later, he flicked his sleeves and turned to leave. This was because there was no trace of Fang Chen in Tianshu Yuan. If there was no way he could escape the dragon controller's heavenly eye. On the peak of the mountain, in front of the thatched hut, Master, the chief of Tianshu Yuan said that the guy died in another experiment. I don't believe it. After careful investigation, I didn't find any trace of him in Tianshu Yuan, the dragon controller reported truthfully. The Hand of Despair nodded gently and closed his eyes. His huge divine sense instantly enveloped every corner of the entire continent of despair. At the same time, on the main peak of Tianshu Yuan, the chief of Tianshu Yuan felt a trace of imperceptible divine sense spying on him. The Hand of Despair. The chief of Tianshu Yuan cried out involuntarily. Only the Hand of Despair had such an ability. Soon, the huge divine sense dissipated, and the chief of Tianshu Yuan returned to the palace. In front of the thatched hut, the Hand of Despair opened his eyes. He's no longer in the continent of despair. It seems that what the chief of Tianshu Yuan said was true. The Hand of Despair said lightly, his face expressionless. What a pity, the dragon controller said. The Hand of Despair turned around and returned to the thatched hut. Investigate carefully. If you find a peerless genius, bring him back to me in time. Yes, Master. The dragon controller said. For the Hand of Despair, even if a peerless genius had fallen, he would not be of much value. If he could not find him in the entire continent of despair, the only possibility was that he had fallen. Therefore, he no longer had any thoughts about Fang Chen. The dragon controller stood respectfully in front of the thatched hut until the aura of the Hand of Despair disappeared. I almost completed Master's task. What a pity. The dragon controller said helplessly. For countless years, the world thought that he was the right-hand man of the Hand of Despair and was honored. However, what they did not know was that he was often tortured because of this task. Forget it. Let's start from the beginning. The dragon controller curled his lips and said to himself. Raw. The golden dragon around him seemed to have sensed his master's mood and let out a loud cry. Swoosh! A ray of light shot out from the thatched hut. Poochie! The ray of light seemed ordinary, but when it hit the golden dragon, it instantly penetrated its body. Don't make any noise. Blood splattered everywhere, and the golden dragon trembled in pain. However, it did not dare to make a sound. Let's go. Chapter 2748. The blood-red light spread to the horizon, and the entire land seemed to be in a scarlet sea. The rich bloodline power was scattered all over the void, as if it was going to cover the entire land. The heavenly Tao energy could only reside in a narrow space. A blood-red crescent moon hung in the sky. There was a black figure in the crescent moon. The legend of the Bloodline King. This was the bloodline boundary, one of the boundaries left behind by the Bloodline King. In a tribe, Fang Chen sat quietly on a hill, looking at the blood-red crescent moon in the sky. Complicated thoughts appeared in his mind. It had been half a month since he came here, and he finally understood the situation here. I really didn't expect that I would be sucked into the bloodline boundary. Fang Chen couldn't help but sigh. He still couldn't imagine how he came here. Half a month ago, Fang Chen couldn't hold back his curiosity and dripped his essence blood on the blood token. At first, Fang Chen could still rely on the powerful defense of the chaotic origin sword body to resist the devouring of the blood token. But after a short while, he completely collapsed, and in the end, he was annihilated by the blood token. At that time, his heart was filled with despair, and he thought that he was going to die. Who would have thought that when he woke up, he would find himself in a mysterious place? The Flame Tribe. It was the people of the Flame Tribe who saved him while he was unconscious. They were very simple and had never come in contact with people from the outside world. Fang Chen learned from them that this mysterious place was called the Bloodline Boundary. The strongest person they believed in was the legendary Bloodline King. Brother Fang Chen, what are you thinking about? Suddenly, footsteps could be heard, and then a child of about 10 years old ran up the hill. Fang Chen turned around, and when he looked at the child, he revealed a gentle smile. Little Flame, why are you here? I want to know about the outside world. The eyes of the child called Little Flame flickered, and he was very curious about the unknown outside world. From a certain perspective, a boundary was no different from an independent space. But compared to an independent space, a boundary was more stable. The reason for that was because the person who created the spirit formation was able to set all the rules. For example, there were countless tribes with special bloodlines living in the bloodline enchantment. These tribes were all brought into the bloodline enchantment by the Bloodline King himself countless years ago. The outside world? Fang Chen murmured. He didn't even know how to leave the bloodline barrier. Brother Fang Chen, do you want to leave the bloodline barrier? Xiao Hua asked. Without waiting for Fang Chen to speak, Xiao Hua continued, I heard from Grandpa Patriarch that there is a legend in our bloodline barrier. If you can gather 49 special bloodlines, you will be able to receive the summons of the Bloodline King. At that time, you will be able to leave the bloodline barrier. But, Xiao Hua pouted and said unhappily, but in all these years, no one has been able to gather all 49 bloodlines. Fang Chen nodded lightly. Since he was already here, he might as well take things as they came. Perhaps, this bloodline barrier was a great opportunity for him. For example, although the guy in front of him was only a little over 10 years old, his body contained a powerful flame bloodline. If this happened in the outside world, it would definitely cause a commotion. Buzz! Flames flickered around Xiao Hua's body, and traces of bright red blood dripped from his fingers. In an instant, the void was burned. Fire Origin Bloodline. This bloodline was very powerful and very special. At least Fang Chen had never heard of it in the outside world. There were more than 100 people in the Flame Tribe, and almost every one of them had the Fire Origin Bloodline. When the Fire Origin Bloodline evolved to the extreme, it could control all the flames in the world. Therefore, the people of the Flame Tribe were born to be blacksmiths. Rumble. Just as Fang Chen and Xiao Hua were chatting, a deafening sound suddenly came. Then, Fang Chen saw a waterfall in the sky in front of him, spraying water droplets. Oh no, the water source tribe is here again. Xiao Hua said bitterly. Big brother Fang Chen, I'll chat with you later. After saying this, Xiao Hua ran down the hill. Wait for me. Fang Chen called out as he ran side by side with Xiao Hua. The Water Source tribe was one of the many tribes in the bloodline barrier, and their bloodline was the Water Source bloodline. The ancients said that water and fire were incompatible. Therefore, the Water Source tribe and the Flame tribe had always been at odds. Old Hua, have you thought it through? Your tribe has declined to the point where you don't have any life ancient experts. Join my tribe. The leader of the Water Source tribe was covered in mist. If one looked closely, they would see that his body was completely formed by water droplets. This was the highest level of the Water Source bloodline. In your dreams. The Flame tribe members roared in anger. Stubborn. The water droplet man snorted and waved his hand, causing countless water droplets to fall from the sky. Ding, ding, ding. These water droplets hit the Flame tribe members, extinguishing the flames on their bodies. Don't hurt my grandfather. Xiao Hua hurried over and stood in front of the Flame tribe leader. Fang Chen's advancing body came to an abrupt stop. Déjà vu? Fang Chen frowned and stared at the water droplet man. He seemed to have seen the method he had just used before. He quickly thought in his mind. Could it be that other than me, someone else has entered here? That's right, there must be more than one blood token. He could imagine that the bloodline monarch must be carrying out a crazy plan. There must be more than one bloodline barrier. Suddenly, a thought flashed in Fang Chen's mind. His thoughts were pulled back to the time when he was fighting in the Empyrean Sea. Yes, that's it. Fang Chen's heart shook, and his eyes widened as he stared at the water droplet man. The method he had just used was exactly the same as the water mist divine art, one of the 49 supreme divine arts in the Empyrean Sea. Could it be someone from the ancient Saint Primal Chaos? Fang Chen thought to himself. It could also be someone from the Dark Marsh Primal Chaos. Just as Fang Chen was thinking, the water droplet man spoke again. I'll give you one last chance. If you don't agree in 3 months, we'll flatten the Flame tribe. After that, the people of the Water Source tribe left in a mighty manner. The Flame tribe was in a mess, and the chief looked tired. Many tribesmen fell to the ground in pain. Why did they gather so many special bloodlines here, specially build a bloodline barrier, and spread the blood token? Fang Chen muttered. At night, after the Flame tribe had settled down, Xiao Hua found Fang Chen. The two sat on a stone bench, and Xiao Hua raised his head and stared blankly at the blood-red crescent moon in the sky. Brother, do you think our Flame tribe is going to be destroyed? Fang Chen stretched out his hand and gently rubbed Xiao Hua's head. No. But the Water Source tribe is so strong, and they even have an ancient life realm expert. How will our Flame tribe resist in 3 months? Xiao Hua said disappointedly. There's always hope. Don't abandon it, don't give up. Fang Chen said softly. Xiao Hua shook his head and bit his finger, dripping a drop of flame blood essence onto Fang Chen's palm. Hiss. As the flames burned, the blood essence drilled into Fang Chen's body. Brother Fang Chen, you're not a member of the Flame tribe, so you don't have to die with us. You should leave before the Water Source tribe arrives. Xiao Hua said. My blood essence contains the heart of the Flame origin. After refining it, I'll be able to obtain the Flame origin bloodline. Although Xiao Hua was young, he knew that the Flame origin bloodline couldn't be destroyed in their generation. Xiao Hua, do you believe in your brother? Fang Chen felt the darkness bloodline and the heart of the Flame origin fusing together, setting off terrifying waves. Xiao Hua nodded. Brother promises you that the Flame tribe will be fine. The Water Source tribe. Sir, we've already given the Flame tribe an ultimatum. If they don't agree in 3 months, we'll flatten them. The water drop man said. In front of him was a black-robed man. His entire body was shrouded in darkness. Good, very good. I only have one goal, and that is to obtain the divine flame of the Source tribe. Chapter 2749. One had to admit that the fire origin bloodline was very special. The flames contained within made Fang Chen feel inconceivable. Ever since he obtained Xiao Hua's essence blood, Fang Chen had been wholeheartedly refining the heart of the fire origin. Big brother is very hardworking. But for others to refine the heart of the fire origin, even if they have monstrous talent, they would need at least 100 years. In the distance, Xiao Hua looked at Fang Chen, who was cultivating bitterly, and muttered, "Boom." But just as Xiao Hua finished speaking, boundless flames surged out from Fang Chen's body. These flames directly engulfed Fang Chen, turning him into a sea of fire. Hoo hoo hoo. Within the sea of fire, Fang Chen's darkness bloodline was completely released. Capture. The heart of the fire origin was refined, and the fire origin bloodline was born, clashing with the darkness bloodline. Suppress. Fang Chen roared and activated the chaotic origin sword body, suppressing the two bloodlines that went berserk. Wang. After a long time, the sea of fire around him disappeared, and Fang Chen's body regained its calmness. "This is the fire origin bloodline?" Fang Chen muttered. Xiao Hua's eyes widened when he saw this scene from afar, and his mouth turned into an O shape. He could clearly see that there were flame patterns on the surface of Fang Chen's skin. This was the most basic symbol of the fire origin bloodline. So exaggerated. In just a month, Fang Chen had refined the heart of the fire origin. Wasn't this too exaggerated? It was simply unimaginable. After a long time, Xiao Hua regained his senses, and Fang Chen's gaze happened to be looking in his direction. "Big brother." Lil Flame dashed over, wild with joy. "Congratulations, Big Brother, for successfully refining the heart of the fire origin and possessing the fire origin bloodline," Xiao Hua said excitedly. After interacting with the members of the Flame tribe, Fang Chen felt that they were very simple. Not only did they take care of him, but they even gave him their fire origin bloodline selflessly. It's all thanks to Xiao Hua. Otherwise, how could Big Brother possess the fire origin bloodline? Fang Chen smiled. "Big Brother, now that you possess the fire origin bloodline, have you sensed two divine skills?" Lil Fire asked curiously. Fang Chen nodded. When he possessed the fire origin bloodline, dense information had indeed appeared in his mind. Thud thud thud. At this moment, the chief of the Flame tribe walked over. "Little friend Fang, please come with me." "Big Brother, go quickly. Grandpa Patriarch will bring you to see our Flame tribe's tribe guardian Divine Flame," Xiao Hua said with a grin. Although Fang Chen was very confused, he still followed the elderly chief to the ancestral shrine of the Flame tribe. To be able to refine the fire origin bloodline in such a short period of time, "You are truly a shocking genius," said the elderly patriarch. He was not angry because Fang Chen was an outsider. On the contrary, he was very happy. The fire tribe exists to protect the fire origin bloodline. "I can see that you have another special bloodline in your body." When he said this, a look of excitement appeared on the old clan leader's face. According to the instructions passed down by our ancestors, if someone can possess two special bloodlines at the same time, that person will be the person our Flame tribe is looking for, said the elderly patriarch. Oh! Fang Chen was a little curious. All bloodlines in the world have their own uniqueness. It is almost impossible for two bloodlines to coexist in one person's blood, said the elderly patriarch. But you have succeeded. The elderly patriarch looked at Fang Chen with admiration and then opened the door of the ancestral shrine. The divine flame of our tribe is inside. Go in, said the elderly patriarch. The old clan chief said. All of these were the last words left behind by his ancestor, he was just following them. Thud thud thud. Fang Chen stepped into the ancestral shrine. The ancestral shrine of the Flame tribe was very simple. There was only a memorial tablet inside. Fire Demon True Monarch. 4 bold and powerful words were written on the memorial tablet. After seeing it, Fang Chen's pupils shrank. Could it be the legendary Fire Demon True Monarch who slew 5 supreme giants by himself during the Battle of the Fallen Gods in the ancient times? Fang Chen cried out involuntarily. He had read about the deeds of Fire Demon True Monarch in the ancient books of Tianshu Yuan. In the ancient times, Fire Demon True Monarch stood at the top of the primordial chaos. His achievements in the Tao of Fire were unprecedented. However, after the Battle of Gods in the ancient times, he mysteriously disappeared. So, the Flame tribe is the descendant of Fire Demon True Monarch. Fang Chen sighed. The descendant of such a powerful figure who shook the primordial chaos had fallen to such a state. No, why would his descendant enter the bloodline boundary? Suddenly, Fang Chen thought of a problem. With fire demon true monarch strength, he should not be afraid of a bloodline king. Could it be? Thinking of this, Fang Chen was shocked. Thinking of all the things that had happened before, he had a crazy guess in his heart. Back then, Fire Demon True Monarch and the other supreme giants joined forces with the Bloodline King and seemed to be planning something. This matter must have something to do with the bloodline. Buzz. Suddenly, a dazzling spark appeared on Fire Demon True Monarch's memorial tablet. This flame flower bloomed quickly and released a thick flame. So powerful. Fang Chen could not help but take a few steps back. He was extremely shocked. Divine fire! Fang Chen exclaimed. In the flame, a hazy figure was faintly discernible. Fire Demon True Monarch! Fang Chen exclaimed. The latter slowly turned around and looked at Fang Chen with his flaming eyes. Fire Demon True Monarch sighed and said slowly, "Junior, you are finally here." Fang Chen listened to the order quietly. As this was a will left behind by True Monarch Fire Demon, the words were prepared beforehand. The fact that you have my bloodline proves that you are qualified to refine the divine fire. Fire Demon True Monarch's aged voice sounded. Refine it and you can leave the flame tribe to collect other bloodlines. Whoosh. In the divine fire, Fire Demon True Monarch disappeared. What's going on? Fang Chen was even more puzzled. What did Fire Demon True Monarch's words mean? Could it be that they really had some big plan and he had accidentally barged in? Thinking of this, Fang Chen felt his scalp go numb. Was everything he was doing now under the surveillance of the supreme giant? Buzz. The divine fire flickered and emitted a scorching flame, triggering the fire origin bloodline in Fang Chen's body. Not good. Fang Chen cursed because with the help of the divine fire, the fire origin bloodline was devouring the darkness bloodline. Refine. In a panic, Fang Chen hurriedly refined the divine fire. Buzz. Fang Chen stretched out his palms and suppressed the divine fire. The divine fire, which was originally very powerful, dimmed quickly and was refined by Fang Chen. RIP. After refining the divine fire, Fang Chen's fire origin bloodline underwent a true evolution. On the surface of his skin, there were clear flames flickering. Fang Chen felt power erupting in his body. What a strong power! Is this the true fire origin bloodline? Fang Chen murmured. In the sky above the flame tribe, a fire dragon formed by flames suddenly appeared out of nowhere and roared. The dragon's roar spread across the land. Many people of the flame tribe knelt on the ground, their bodies trembling. Ancestor, please bless us. The fire dragon was the totem of the flame tribe. They thought that this was the manifestation of their ancestor. Roar. The fire dragon spat out scorching flames, sprinkling in the sky and entering the bodies of many people. In an instant, the bloodline power in their bodies underwent an evolution. Ha ha ha, our ancestor has shown up. Our flame tribe is saved. The old chief shouted excitedly. Buzz. After a while, the fire dragon entered the ancestral hall and the sky calmed down again. Creak. Fang Chen walked out of the ancestral hall. Benefactor, please save our flame tribe. The old chief took the lead and knelt. Brother, please save our flame tribe. Xiao Hua cried. Get up. What's going on? Under Fang Chen's persuasion, the people of the flame tribe stood up. Fang Chen finally understood after the old chief explained it personally. Is Fire Demon True Lord so sure that the future generations can refine the divine fire? Fang Chen was full of doubts. Don't worry. I will protect the flame tribe no matter what. Fang Chen promised. On this day, the entire flame tribe was beaming with joy. Because their ancestor had shown them the way. The fire dragon illuminated the sky and the divine fire recognized its master. This series of events was enough to show that the flame tribe was about to rise. In a mysterious place at the peak of the primordial chaos. Kid, I hope you can succeed. A burly man surrounded by flames said. Fire Demon True Lord, why are you so happy? A few people asked. Chapter 2750. Bloodline Barrier, Flame Tribe. Under the lead of the old chief, many tribe members respected Fang Chen from the bottom of their hearts. "Big brother, you succeeded." Xiao Hua was very excited and said with a smile. Every member of the flame tribe knew how important the divine flame was to them. "This is the order of the old ancestor, ha ha ha." Many tribe members were very excited and teared up. Wang. Suddenly, Fang Chen felt the divine flame in his body become restless. Whoosh. His body flashed and disappeared. He left a sentence for Xiao Hua and the others and then went into seclusion. "Grandpa Chief, will Big Brother be okay?" Xiao Hua asked worriedly. "That won't happen. Your elder brother has absorbed the divine flame. He is the one chosen by the heavens," said the old clan leader. Time passed. 3 months later, the flame tribe faced the danger of being exterminated. Under the lead of the water droplet person, the water source tribe arrived in front of the flame tribe. "Old flame ghost, have you decided?" The water droplet person shouted with disdain. "Today is the last day. If you refuse to submit, then die." The people of the water source tribe were very arrogant. Seeing this, the people of the flame tribe bared their teeth and roared. "Chief, let's fight it out with them. The people of the flame tribe would rather die than betray us." Seeing this, the water droplet person's face darkened and he said coldly, "Since that's the case, then from now on, there will be no more flame tribe in the bloodline barrier." Following the water droplet person's order, the people of the water source tribe charged toward the flame tribe. Poochie. The people of the water source tribe were very strong and the weakened flame tribe couldn't resist at all. In the time it took for a spark to fly off a piece of flint, there were clansmen who fell into a pool of blood. "Damn it." Seeing this, the old chief roared and flames appeared in his palm as he charged toward the water source tribe. "Old flame ghost." Suddenly, a furious roar rang out. The droplet man leaped up and blocked the elderly patriarch. At the same time, the water droplets on his body flew out and restrained the old chief. Hiss. The hot flames and the cold water droplets collided. This was the collision of the fire source bloodline and the water source bloodline. "Old ghost, your fire origin bloodline has declined." The water drop person mocked. At the same time, she waved her hand, and the boundless water source bloodline was fully activated, devouring the fire source bloodline at a speed visible to the naked eye. Water to put out the fire. When water reached a certain level of strength, even the strongest flames would be of no use. Bang! The old patriarch's body was sent flying. His fire origin bloodline was completely suppressed. A trace of blood leaked out from the corner of his mouth, and his face was somewhat pale. "Grandpa!" Xiaohua dashed in front of the elderly clan leader without any regard for its own safety, blocking the water droplet man's attack. "Don't hurt my grandfather," Lil Fire shouted. The water droplet man looked down at the elderly tribe leader from above and sneered, "The flame tribe that used to be extremely powerful has now fallen to such a state. How laughable. The fire origin bloodline is simply a waste on you." Since ancient times, fire and water were incompatible. The two tribes had been fighting for a long time. Once upon a time, the flame tribe was so powerful that the water tribe couldn't breathe. But now, with the decline of the flame tribe, the fire origin bloodline was on the verge of extinction. Scram! The water droplet man took a step forward and arrived behind the elderly tribe leader. He shouted loudly, "After today, there will be no more flame tribe." He raised his hand and many water droplets gathered together to form a huge water ball. Within the water ball, there was an extreme amount of power. Splash! Under his control, the water ball rapidly smashed towards the elderly tribe leader. At the same time, he kicked out and sent Xiaohua flying. Bang! Xiaohua's body fell to the ground in the distance. He screamed miserably as tears flowed out of his eyes. Many members of the flame tribe bared their teeth and fell into a state of madness. But it was useless. They couldn't block the powerful attacks of the water tribe members. "Does the heavens want my flame tribe to die?" The elderly tribe leader was unwilling to accept this. He turned his head and looked towards the depths of the flame tribe. Could a miracle happen? Whoosh! A dazzling sword light shot out from the depths of the flame tribe. It arrived in front of the water ball at a speed invisible to the naked eye. Crack! Under everyone's dumbfounded gazes, the vast water ball was easily pierced by the sword light and then exploded. Countless water droplets scattered across the sky. Thump, thump, thump. Caught off guard, the water droplet man retreated a few steps before stabilizing himself. Who is it? The water droplet man roared angrily as he looked around. You don't want to come out? The water droplet man waved his hands. The water droplets on his body instantly scattered and flew out in the sky. Ding, ding, ding. Everywhere the water droplets passed, the void instantly collapsed. Almost every inch of the void was overturned and there was no place to hide. Buzz. In the depths of the flame tribe, Fang Chen's body was surrounded by a sword-shaped light shield that blocked the water droplet's attack. Who are you? The water droplet man stared at Fang Chen with his dark eyes and asked coldly. Fang Chen walked out of the depths of the flame tribe step by step. His body exuded a powerful aura that made people respect and fear him. Brother! Xiaohua shouted when he saw this. The elderly tribe leader's eyes were also filled with excitement. You want to destroy the flame tribe? Fang Chen asked. So what if I do? The water droplet man said arrogantly. You think you can stop me? The water droplet man's cultivation was at the limit of the Star Ancient Realm, while Fang Chen was only at the early stage of the Star Ancient Realm. The water droplet man was not afraid at all. You want the divine flame? Fang Chen asked again. That's right. Buzz. Fang Chen opened his palm and a beautiful flower appeared, burning fiercely. This is the divine flame. The water droplet man turned pale with fright and his face instantly darkened. You refined the divine flame? The water droplet man's face was filled with anger. His heart trembled. The divine flame was wanted by that lord. If he could not bring it back, the consequences would be unimaginable. The Water Source tribe was able to establish a foothold in the bloodline boundary all these years thanks to that lord. Now, the divine flame was refined by this guy in front of him. You refined the divine flame and ruined the lord's plan. This is unforgivable. The water droplet man roared angrily. Kill him for me. Under the water droplet man's order, many people of the Water Source tribe rushed toward Fang Chen. Brother, let me help you. Xiaohua rushed toward Fang Chen, and the people of the Flame tribe also came one after another. Fang Chen waved his hand casually and said, It's just a few flies. I alone am enough. Fang Chen's words angered the people of the Water Source tribe even more. They roared at the sky and launched a powerful attack. In an instant, a huge water curtain appeared in the sky. Fang Chen was trapped under the water curtain. Kid, you're dead, someone roared. Fang Chen shook his head gently. Although the water curtain gave him some pressure, it was not a threat. The Water Source bloodline is just SOSO. Fang Chen sneered. If you obediently hand over the tribe guarding divine water, I can spare your lives. Tribe guarding divine water? Hearing Fang Chen's words, the water droplet man almost exploded with anger. It's been a long time since anyone dared to have designs on our tribe guarding divine water. You're the first one in a million years. The water droplet man said eerily. Not everyone is qualified to touch the tribe guarding divine water. I'll let you know that the Water Source tribe is not to be trifled with. As his voice fell, the people of the Water Source tribe rushed forward. Splash! The huge water curtain kept shrinking until it tightly bound Fang Chen to the ground. Fang Chen did not move and looked mockingly at the water droplet man. The water curtain that you're so proud of is like trash in my eyes. Watch how I break it. Fang Chen said indifferently. In his palm, the divine flame shone. Splash! The divine flame emitted a scorching pressure, and at the same time, it triggered the fire origin bloodline in Fang Chen's body. The two combined, and the scorching temperature instantly spread out. Rip! The water curtain was burned by the divine flame without any resistance. Crack! The water curtain shattered, and the people of the Water Source tribe fell into pools of blood one by one. Fang Chen stood with his hands behind his back. Surrounded by the divine flame, he stared at the water droplet man. Chapter 2751. The water droplet man's face turned ferocious as he released his Water Source bloodline. Monstrous waves emerged from his body and the whole world seemed to be filled with an ocean. Splash! The surging waves crashed onto the ground. The faces of the Flame Tribe's members were filled with dread as they retreated one after another. "Be careful," the elderly chief reminded. Lil Flame, on the other hand, was nervously holding the old patriarch's large hand, his heart filled with worry. "It's okay," Fang Chen replied calmly. At the same time, he looked at the water droplet man. "You seem to have made your decision. You want to make the water source tribe submit. You're courting death." The water droplet man roared and waved his hand. Monstrous waves broke through the clouds and turned into a water dragon. It carried endless power and pierced through the void and blasted towards Fang Chen. Anyone who makes a mistake has to pay the corresponding price. The water source tribe is the same. Fang Chen ascended to the sky and confronted the water dragon from afar. Roar! The water dragon opened its bloody mouth and spat out endless waves, trying to drown Fang Chen. Divine fire illuminates the sky and burns everything. Fang Chen chanted softly. Divine fire appeared above his head and emitted an unparalleled scorching power. In an instant, a flame domain was formed around Fang Chen. Any waves that entered the flame domain were evaporated in the blink of an eye. "I don't believe that you can continue like this," the water droplet man said coldly. His body flickered and turned into water droplets. He controlled the water dragons and attacked Fang Chen in turn. However, in the face of such a powerful attack, the corners of Fang Chen's lips curled up into a disdainful smile. "Who said that I only have divine fire attacks?" As he spoke, Fang Chen took out the star-concealing sword. The divine fire attack was just an attack that he had mastered recently. His real trump card was the invincible sword principle. Sword of Destruction. He waved the star-concealing sword and a sword light that could cut through heaven and earth burst out. Crack! The water dragon closest to Fang Chen had just opened its bloody mouth when its body was cut in half by the sword light and disappeared. "Huh!" Below, many members of the Flame Tribe also widened their eyes. "Big Brother is so awesome," Lil Fire said excitedly. Nyan Mai's body trembled as he said, "The ancestors have shown themselves, the ancestors have shown themselves." After the Sword of Destruction, Fang Chen performed the Sword of Heaven and Earth. With his current early-stage star ancient cultivation base and his chaos-grade star concealing sword complementing each other, the power of his one sword of heavens and earth increased by several times. How is this possible? In the blink of an eye, Fang Chen defeated all the water dragons. The droplet man widened his eyes, not daring to believe what he was seeing. "I can't accept this." The water droplet man was prepared for his final struggle. He lifted his head and roared into the skies. He spread out his hands and the water droplets gathered in his palms. At the same time, he pushed the power of his water source bloodline to the limit. "It's useless," Fang Chen said indifferently. In the face of absolute power, everything else was fleeting. Fang Chen had merged with the divine fire, and the power of his fire source bloodline completely suppressed the power of his water source bloodline. The water droplet man's attack power was greatly reduced. In such a state, how could he resist Fang Chen's invincible sword Dao? Boom! The invincible sword Qi soared into the sky. Fang Chen was like a demon god descending, and his sword pierced through the water droplet man's body. Crack! The water droplet man tried to escape. His body disintegrated into countless water droplets, but Fang Chen waved his sleeve, and the divine fire burned the water droplets into nothingness. A miserable shriek rang out from the void. The current chief of the water source tribe, the water droplet man, died. Kill. The death of the water droplet man greatly boosted the morale of the Flame Tribe. Under the leadership of the elderly chief, they killed all the people of the water source tribe. A moment later, the land of the Flame Tribe was covered in blood. Whoosh! The battle was over, and the elderly chief breathed a sigh of relief. At this moment, Fang Chen suddenly felt a vast aura coming from the distant horizon. What's going on? Suddenly, a thunderous voice rang out. Stop! This voice was filled with extreme anger. Whoosh! Whoosh! In the blink of an eye, he arrived in front of the Flame Tribe. When he saw the blood on the ground and the ruins, His heart turned cold. He clenched his fists and looked at Fang Chen with bloodshot eyes. The people of the Water Source tribe were killed by you? The black-clothed martial artist exuded a terrifying aura as he asked coldly. Life Ancient Realm? Fang Chen's heart trembled. Damn it. The black-clothed martial artist waved his sleeve, and water droplets appeared out of thin air. This is, Fang Chen was shocked. You're from the Dark Marsh Primal Chaos? Hey! Hearing Fang Chen's words, the black-clothed martial artist was surprised. He stopped his attack and looked at Fang Chen. You too. This person had one of the 49 supreme divine arts in the Empyrean Sea, and the aura of his primordial spirit was completely different from Fang Chen's. It could be concluded that he was from the Dark Marsh Primal Chaos. No, your primordial spirit aura isn't from the Dark Marsh Primal Chaos. You're from the Ancient Saint Primal Chaos. The black-clothed martial artist licked his dry lips and said eerily, I can't believe I met someone from the Ancient Saint Primal Chaos here. Interesting. Whoosh, whoosh. The black-clothed martial artist waved his sleeve, and a monstrous wave roared out. Sword of Heaven and Earth. Fang Chen hurriedly used the Sword of Heaven and Earth. An earth-shattering sword light burst out and hit the black-clothed martial artist's robe. Crack. The sound of metal colliding rang out, and the black-clothed martial artist retreated a few steps. An early star ancient realm cultivator can actually force me back. A cold killing intent flashed in the eyes of the black-clothed cultivator as he looked at Fang Chen. Die. The black-clothed martial artist madly attacked Fang Chen. As expected of the Life Ancient Realm. This was Fang Chen's first time facing a Life Ancient Realm cultivator. If it weren't for the divine flame, he wouldn't have been able to resist the attacks. Every time the black-clothed martial artist used a water droplet attack, Fang Chen used the divine flame to suppress it. Then, he used the Sword of Heaven and Earth without holding back. What an exquisite sword technique. The black-clothed martial artist looked at Fang Chen greedily and madly attacked. Whoosh. After a fierce battle, Fang Chen found an opportunity and used the space-time escape technique. Illusions filled the sky, and it was impossible to tell which was the real body. Crack. Just as the black-clothed martial artist was searching, Fang Chen appeared behind him and used the Black Demon Sky Split. The Demon Extinction sword ruthlessly stabbed into the martial artist's body. Poochie. Blood splattered in the sky. The black-clothed martial artist backhanded Fang Chen and forced him back. Hiss. Hiss. The black-clothed martial artist's face was incomparably gloomy as aura constantly leaked from the wound. Damn you, you actually injured me. The black-clothed martial artist cursed. Buzz. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Fang Chen set up a massacre array and surrounded the entire flame tribe to prevent the black-clothed martial artist from going berserk and destroying the flame tribe. After doing all this, Fang Chen held the star-hidden sword in his hand and stared at the black-clothed martial artist. With his current strength, although he could not defeat the black-clothed martial artist, it was more than enough to deal with him. Rumble. The battle continued and it was extremely intense. In the blink of an eye, it had reached its climax. However, as time passed, the black-clothed martial artist started to think of retreating. Damn it, this guy's strength seems to be endless. Moreover, he has the divine flame and can completely suppress my water droplet attack. What is more terrifying is his shocking sword technique. Even I do not dare to take it head-on. The black-clothed martial artist thought to himself. Fang Chen's figure had turned into thousands of figures. Even the black-clothed martial artist could not tell which one was the real body. He had been sneak attacked by the Demon Extinction Sword several times. The Black Demon Skysplit art was a unique skill for sneak attacks and assassination. At this moment, it displayed its unparalleled charm. Let's go. Finally, after a fierce battle, the black-clothed martial artist chose to temporarily retreat. Brat, I will not let this go. Looking at the black-clothed martial artist's disappearing figure, Fang Chen did not chase after him. Life Ancient Realm powerhouses have the ability to change the heavens and change lives. Their words are law. Too strong. After fighting with a Life Ancient Realm powerhouse for the first time, Fang Chen finally realized the terror of a Life Ancient Realm powerhouse. If the black-clothed martial artist had not just entered the life-ancient realm, he would not be his opponent at all. It seems that my strength is still too weak, Fang Chen muttered. If he could create the third sword of the invincible sword Dao, or if his cultivation base could reach the middle or late star ancient realm, he would be able to suppress the black-clothed martial artist. Whoosh! With the crisis resolved, Fang Chen breathed a sigh of relief. Big brother, you are too strong. Xiao Hua said excitedly, you destroyed the water source tribe with your own strength and even forced the mysterious black-clothed martial artist to leave. Little friend, the fire tribe will never forget your kindness. The elderly patriarch cupped his fists. Chapter 2752. The water source tribe was not far from the flame tribe. After the water source tribe was annihilated, Fang Chen set up the slaughter array to prevent the black-robed ancient god from attacking. Then, he quietly went to the old site of the water source tribe. Where's the clan protection god water? After tasting the sweetness of the god fire, Fang Chen wanted to obtain the clan protection god water and collect the water source bloodlines. According to the fire devil true monarch, collecting 49 special bloodlines seemed to be able to unlock something. Regardless, the information he had obtained so far was that he had to collect all the special bloodlines to leave the bloodline enchantment. 1. Fang Chen activated the god fire to sense the clan protection god water. Rip. Soon, he found the location of the clan protection god water. Boom. He smashed the seal with a punch and arrived at the forbidden ground in the back mountain. There was an ancestral shrine here, but unlike the flame tribe, this ancestral shrine was in tatters and seemed to have been destroyed. Fang Chen entered and saw the sound of trickling water. This is the clan protection god water. Fang Chen frowned. He came to the side of the pond and touched the water with his finger. Wang. An extremely cold aura drilled into his body. Die. A furious roar came from behind him. Fang Chen hurriedly turned around and activated the chaotic origin sword body, raising his defense to the maximum. Peng. He barely blocked the sneak attack and rolled to the other side of the pond. It's you. Fang Chen saw that the one who attacked him was the black-robed ancient god from the Black Marsh Primal Chaos. Brat, the clan protection god water is mine. You are not qualified to touch it. The black-robed ancient god said coldly, leave this place quickly, or don't blame me for being impolite. Hearing this, Fang Chen was puzzled. According to the black-robed ancient god's character, he would definitely attack him. But he asked him to leave. Was there some secret behind this? Suddenly, Fang Chen discovered a layer of mist flowing on the black-robed ancient god's body. This is, Fang Chen immediately understood. He was refining the clan protection god water. Hoo. Fang Chen opened his hand, and a vast suction force instantly spread out. The water in the pond was crazily sucked into Dark Cave Mountain. Stop. Seeing this, the black-clothed ancient god roared furiously. At the same time, he launched a fierce and overbearing attack on Fang Chen. You control it. Fang Chen said to the Xian Ming heart. At the same time, he used Sword of Heaven and Earth to fight against the black-robed ancient god. He didn't need to defeat the black-clothed ancient god. He just needed to stop him. The latter clearly sensed Fang Chen's intentions, and he went berserk. His attack power increased several times, and Fang Chen was forced to retreat. Boom. After a deafening sound, the mysterious underworld heart returned to Fang Chen's neck. The water in the pond had been completely sucked dry. Ah, I'm going to kill you. The black-clothed ancient god descended into madness. He raised his head to the sky and roared as he charged toward Fang Chen. However, before he could even reach halfway, his body began to tremble. Damn it. The black-clothed ancient god cursed. At the same time, he used all his strength to suppress the mist on the surface of his skin. Let's go. The black-clothed ancient god glared at Fang Chen fiercely before disappearing into the void. He left. Fang Chen was a little surprised. However, he didn't stay there and quickly returned to the flame tribe. After returning, Fang Chen greeted Xiaohua and the elderly tribe leader, and immediately went into seclusion. Inside Dark Cave Mountain, Fang Chen stared at the pond below his feet. The pond water was pitch black and rippled slowly. Is this the tribe guarding holy water? Fang Chen murmured. Master, this is only one form of the tribe guarding holy water of the water source tribe. You need to condense it, the mysterious underworld heart reminded him. Fang Chen nodded and began to try. He jumped into the pond. Buzz. The pond water kept invading his body. The two bloodline powers in his body formed a strong defense to stop the water source bloodline. Hiss. Hiss. After a while, Fang Chen used the power of the divine fire to condense the water in the pond into a water ball. What a powerful water source bloodline power! Fang Chen swallowed it into his body. Immediately, the vast water source bloodline power spread out. Due to his previous experience, Fang Chen was even more familiar with the process this time. Using his own conditions, he successfully activated the water source bloodline power and merged it into his own bloodline. So easy. Fang Chen was also a little stunned. He had been prepared to fight, but he had obtained the water source bloodline so easily and even made the three bloodlines harmonize. What was going on? Master, do you remember that the darkness bloodline evolved after you swallowed 10 blood-tempering pills? The mysterious underworld heart asked. Fang Chen nodded. Of course, he remembered. After the darkness bloodline evolved, there was a trace of the black hole bloodline. Rumor has it that the black hole bloodline is one of the most powerful bloodlines in the world, and it has a magical effect, the mysterious underworld heart said. It can swallow any bloodline in the world. Since ancient times, many geniuses wanted to have two bloodlines, but in the end, they exploded and died. But Master, it was so easy for you. This is all because of the darkness bloodline, the mysterious underworld heart said. It was said that the experts with the black hole bloodline could absorb other special bloodlines as they wished. Is that so? Fang Chen was secretly delighted. He did not expect this. So, I can absorb other bloodlines as I wish. Thinking of this, Fang Chen was very excited. This is because Master's bloodline has not completely evolved into the black hole bloodline. Otherwise, you can absorb as much as you want, the mysterious underworld heart said. Take it slow. The black hole bloodline is one of the legendary bloodlines. It's not that easy. Fang Chen smiled contentedly. Buzz. With a thought, a ball appeared in his palm. Half of it was hot flame, and the other half was icy cold mist. This was formed by the combination of the divine fire and divine water. That's great. Since Fang Chen defeated the black-clothed ancient god, he had not appeared again. The bloodline enchantment temporarily calmed down, and the flame tribe was thriving. In the distant Shura universe, Fang Chen's avatar had an accident. Shura universe. In the vast chaotic void, there were hundreds of millions of miniature universes. Behind every miniature universe was a super great being. Of course, there were strong and weak miniature universes. Generally speaking, miniature universes were divided into 5 levels in the ancient Saint Chaos. The Star River universe was only the 4th level, slightly stronger than the 5th level. Under Fang Chen's nurturing, the Shura universe had become a 1st-level miniature universe. The Shura universe was full of talents, and its reputation was widespread. With Fang Chen's avatar and the bone progenitor, there was almost no danger. However, one day, an abnormality occurred in the Shura universe. Rumble. Flashing lightning fell from the sky. The power of thunder punishment. Fang Chen stood in the clouds, staring at the power of thunder punishment. His expression changed drastically. In the entire primal chaos void, the only one who could control the power of thunder punishment was the thunder punishment tribe. Why did the thunder punishment tribe come to my Shura universe? Fang Chen murmured. Voila! Just as Fang Chen was thinking, the power of thunder punishment suddenly turned into a monstrous hand and suppressed Fang Chen's avatar. No! Fang Chen desperately resisted, but it was useless. The hand grabbed him and took him away. In the next moment, the thunderous Azura universe was restored to its former tranquility. When the bone progenitor arrived, Fang Chen had already disappeared. Fang Chen! The bone progenitor shouted. He spread out his divine sense, but he could not find him in the entire Shura universe. His face was gloomy, and he was extremely worried. Ancient Saint Chaos, Mahakala, Shura Sword Sect Headquarters. Ever since Fang Chen unified the ancient Saint Chaos, Shura sword sect had become a transcendent force. Even the major clans had to give them face. As Fang Chen's disciples, Kang Ju and Tian Xin were the center of attention. The two of them did not disappoint Fang Chen's expectations, and their cultivation rose steadily. Unfortunately, good times did not last long. Not long ago, Tian Xin and Kang Ju were sparring in Shura sword sect. Suddenly, thunder punishment fell from the sky, and a monstrous hand took them away. This matter alarmed the entire ancient Saint Chaos, and the elders of the Elder Guild even found the Thunder Punishment tribe. Qing, who was also a member of the Elder Guild. After asking, he found out that the person who took action was not from the Thunder Punishment tribe. This matter attracted the attention of the Elder Guild. They believed that the ancient Saint Chaos was potentially dangerous. A few days later, the bone progenitor came to Mahakala. Chapter 2753. You're saying that Brother Fang's clone was also taken away by the lightning punishment hand? Qing Hu asked with wide eyes. After the bone progenitor explained the whole story, Qing Hu was stunned. Who is it? Is it deliberately targeting Brother Fang? Qing Hu racked his brains. Who would dare to attack the Shura sword sect in the current ancient Saint Chaos? At this moment, another piece of bad news came. Fang Shi, who was traveling in the ancient Saint Chaos, was also taken away by the lightning punishment hand. After hearing the news, Star and Moon burst into tears. Bai Qingqing and Princess Xin also returned from various parts of the ancient Saint Chaos. I want to enter the Celestial Sea to cultivate. After being comforted by everyone, Star and Moon stopped crying and made such a decision. I want to improve my cultivation and go to the ancient Saint Chaos to find my husband and daughter. With Star and Moon's personality, once she made a decision, no one could change it. We'll go with you. Bai Qingqing and Princess Xin resolutely stood on Star and Moon's side. Star and Moon's beautiful eyes flickered. She looked at the two women with a complicated expression and then nodded heavily. On this day, under the escort of the 7 elders of the Council of Elders, the 3 women entered the Celestial Sea. The bone progenitor returned to the Shura universe. Fang Chen's clone was no longer there. He had to guard the Shura universe and ensure the normal operation of the universe. Ancient Saint Chaos, bloodline boundary. Fang Chen, who was in the Flame tribe, suddenly trembled. The next moment, he held his head with both hands and screamed miserably. Brother, what's wrong? Little Hua hurried over. The elderly patriarch and the others also came one after another. Seeing Fang Chen's pained expression, they were helpless. Fang Chen bared his teeth. His head was in extreme pain, as if his primordial spirit was about to shatter. With a bang, he fell into a coma. Brother, are you okay? Little Hua shook Fang Chen's arm hard. When Fang Chen woke up, it was already 3 months later. How long did I sleep? Fang Chen rubbed his head and asked. Big brother, you slept for 3 months. Little Flame was very worried. Little Flame laughed. Seeing that Fang Chen was fine, he was very happy. Fang Chen got off the bed and walked into the courtyard. His pitch-black eyes stared at the sky. Fang Chen murmured, using the lightning punishment palm to suppress my clone and sever the connection between me and my clone. Even an ancient life realm cultivator wouldn't be able to do such a thing. Who was it that was attacking him? He couldn't help but worry about ancient sage primal chaos, his wife, daughter, brothers, and disciples. I hope you're safe. Fang Chen secretly prayed. At this moment, he had no connection with his clone at all. In fact, he even felt as if he had never had a clone before. After a moment of silence, Fang Chen shook his head. He didn't know what happened to his clone. So what if he knew? The most important thing now was to collect special bloodlines, leave the bloodline barrier, and continue to grow stronger. Only then could he come into contact with higher-level secrets. Perhaps at that time, he would be able to know what had happened to his clone. Forget it, let's not think about this. Fang Chen shook his head and said. He was completely unaware that because of this incident, the entire ancient Saint Chaos was in a state of panic and vigilance, and it was in an uproar. Big brother, are you okay? Little Flame asked. Fang Chen shook his head and grinned. Don't you see that I'm fine? Seeing this, Little Flame breathed a sigh of relief. Big brother, you were unconscious for 3 months. A lot of things happened in the bloodline barrier. Little Flame said slowly. A month ago, a piece of news broke out in the Great Evolution mountain range. A powerful bloodline that had never appeared in the world appeared. Many tribes in the surrounding area have sent experts in person, wanting you to obtain this bloodline. It is said that this is a super powerful bloodline that can devour all bloodlines. Huh! Hearing this, Fang Chen's expression changed. Where is it? Fang Chen asked hurriedly. Little Flame handed a file to Fang Chen and said, I know that Big Brother will definitely be interested, so I collected some information during this period of time. Big Brother, take a look. Fang Chen took the file and skimmed through it. He had a faint guess in his heart. The powerful bloodline that appeared was very likely to be related to the black hole bloodline. 3 days later, Fang Chen was ready, and his primordial spirit had completely recovered. He strengthened the slaughter formation again to ensure that the Flame Tribe would not be in danger before leaving. Big Brother, we will wait for your return. Little Flame waved his hand and said. Fang Chen's figure flashed and disappeared into the void. The Flame Tribe was very far from the Great Evolution mountain range. Fang Chen used the space-time escape technique and spent a total of 7 days. 7 days later, Fang Chen arrived at the Great Evolution mountain range. Along the way, I encountered many ancient gods of the Star Ancient realm. Fang Chen said in a low voice. As for ancient gods of the Life Ancient realm, he did not encounter any. He sat on a blue stone to rest and at the same time, explore the surroundings. Shaw shaw shaw. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps came. Then, 3 burly figures surrounded Fang Chen. The eyes of the 3 revealed greed. Kid, which tribe are you from? The Flame Tribe, Fang Chen said. Hearing this, the faces of the 3 were full of disdain. In the bloodline barrier, the Flame Tribe was the weakest tribe. The 3 of us have a small request. Give us a few drops of your essence blood. After saying this, the leader took out a small bottle from his arms. Just fill this bottle. Fang Chen looked at the 3 thoughtfully. Looking at their practiced appearance, they should be repeat offenders. Rob my essence blood? Fang Chen asked. Cut the crap. If you don't hand over your essence blood, I will wring your head off. Bang. Fang Chen punched out and smashed the head of the person who spoke. You are courting death. Seeing this, the other 2 roared angrily. Boom. The divine fire lit up the sky and burned everything. The warrior who rushed towards him was enveloped by the divine fire and was instantly burned. Miserable screams could be heard. The other person who rushed over was enveloped by the divine water and restrained by the violent water curtain. Senior, please spare my life. The man knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. I have eyes but failed to see. Please spare my life. How long have you been here? Fang Chen asked. Almost 30 years. It used to be a long time to meet a passerby, but a month ago, the number of warriors who came here suddenly increased. How much essence blood did you get in total? Fang Chen asked. Not much, only 7 bottles. Fang Chen opened his palm and looked at the man with a faint smile. The latter's body trembled and reluctantly handed the 7 bottles of essence blood to Fang Chen. Senior, I don't want the essence blood. I will give it all to you. Please spare my life. Fang Chen played with the 7 bottles of essence blood. These were the power of 7 bloodlines. Which tribe are you from? Fang Chen asked. I am from the Black Gold tribe. If Senior let me go, the Black Gold tribe will definitely reward you handsomely. Poochie. Fang Chen flicked his finger and a ray of light pierced through the man's finger. Drip. A powerful suction force enveloped the man's finger. Drops of essence blood appeared. Fang Chen took the empty bottle from the man's hand. In the blink of an eye, a bottle of essence blood was in his hand. Senior, my essence blood contains the power of the Black Gold bloodline. It is beneficial to Senior's cultivation. The man begged, please spare my life. Bang. Lin Fan smashed the man's head with a slap. Leave you to harm the world. Putting away the 8 bottles of essence blood, Fang Chen stepped out and entered the depths of the Great Evolution mountain range. Whoosh, 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 Whoosh. Soon after he left, many figures appeared. Our gang. Seeing the 3 corpses lying on the ground, everyone's face turned gloomy. Me. How dare he kill the people of the Black Gold tribe? How audacious. Does he really think that the Black Gold tribe is a pushover? Find out who the murderer is at all costs. Everyone was furious. There is a strange aura in the air. The murderer just left not long ago. Let's chase after him and let him know that the Black Gold tribe is not to be trifled with. After saying that, the people of the Black Gold tribe left in a grandiose manner, chasing after Fang Chen. In the Great Evolution mountain range. The deeper Fang Chen went, the more he could feel the restlessness of the dark bloodline in his body. It's true. Fang Chen was more and more convinced of his guess. Only the legendary black hole bloodline could devour any bloodline in the world. Fang Chen's heart raced. If it was really the black hole bloodline, it would be a great opportunity for him. Even if it is not the black hole bloodline, it must be related to it. Chapter 2754. Great Evolution Mountain Range. Fang Chen found that the density of the bloodline here was much higher than the outside world. Moreover, the dark bloodline in his body was constantly throbbing, as if it had encountered something extremely dangerous. Shaw shaw shaw. A series of footsteps could be heard as the tribesmen arrived at the depths of the Great Evolution mountain range. There was a black altar in the deepest part of the mountain. This altar must have appeared recently. Someone said excitedly, his eyes burning with passion. I can feel that the bloodline in the black altar is extremely powerful. Yeah, my demonic dragon bloodline is being suppressed. Everyone was discussing. They were all tribesmen from various tribes around the Great Evolution mountain range. Among them, the strongest was only at the early life ancient realm. Look, the flying guillotine from the blood serpent tribe is here. Gosh, didn't he just break through to the life ancient realm? Why is he here? Seeing the flying guillotine from the blood serpent tribe, everyone's face was filled with helplessness. The flying guillotine was known to be invincible in the same realm. Before this, he had swept through many star ancient realm tribesmen around the Great Evolution mountain range. Not long ago, he had broken through the bottleneck and reached the legendary life ancient realm. It's said that the flying guillotine has 2 special bloodlines in his body. A long time ago, he obtained a secret technique that allows the 2 bloodlines to coexist. Is that true? No wonder the flying guillotine is here. He must have come for the strongest bloodline. Unless a life ancient realm expert intervenes, no one is a match for the flying guillotine. Buzz. A vast bloody aura permeated from the distant void. A man shrouded in blood-red radiance stepped through the air and flew over. Dong. His body landed heavily on the ground, kicking up a cloud of dust. The gazes of countless martial artists fell on him. His tall and straight figure emitted an aura that caused people to tremble. The blood serpent bloodline was one of the top bloodlines among the 49 special bloodlines in the bloodline barrier. It was said that the blood serpent bloodline could suppress many special bloodlines. Hiss. Hiss. The flying guillotine stood on the ground, staring at the black altar in front of him. With a wave of his hand, a blood-red ray of light shot out from his finger. The finger radiance contained the powerful power of the blood serpent bloodline. It whizzed out and viciously slammed into the black altar. Wang. An unexpected scene occurred. No one had expected that the black altar would release a wisp of black aura, completely enveloping the entire altar. Furthermore, to everyone's shock, it easily blocked the attack of the Bloodsnake bloodline power. This, everyone exclaimed in shock, their eyes wide open and tongue-tied. Even the flying guillotine was slightly startled. Soon after, the corners of his mouth curled up, revealing a strange smile. As expected of a unique bloodline that has never appeared before. If I can obtain it, my strength will definitely increase by leaps and bounds. The flying guillotine thought to himself. He looked around and swept his gaze across everyone. Many tribesmen stepped back and looked at the flying guillotine with fear. Flying guillotine, what's the point of bullying the weak? A voice suddenly came from the rift. Then, a man in gorgeous golden armor descended from the sky. His aura was imposing as he stared at the flying guillotine fearlessly. Bing Wu Shuang. The peerless genius of the Ice Tribe and also one of the strongest in the tribe. He possessed the Ice bloodline and was known to be able to freeze any bloodline in the world. You've also broken through? The flying guillotine was slightly startled when he saw Bing Wuxuang. Even you, the flying guillotine, have broken through. I, Bing Wuxuang, am 1 generation older than you. I can't fall behind. Bing Wuxuang smiled. The space around him was frozen. The extremely cold aura caused the temperature of the entire space to drop rapidly. The flying guillotine snorted coldly. He stomped his foot and rushed to the black altar. Let's go. Bing Wuxuang didn't stop either. She followed him to the front of the black altar. Wang. When the flying guillotine was about to reach the black altar, he leaped up. 2 different bloodline powers emerged from his palms and slammed into the altar. At the same time, Bing Wuxuang activated her ice bloodline and tried to freeze the light around the altar. Everyone in the crowd was shocked. Only these 2 powerhouses would dare to act so recklessly. Whoosh, whoosh. When Fang Chen arrived, he happened to see this scene. The black altar. Fang Chen's heart raced. He could feel that the darkness bloodline was unusually active. It's right above here. Fang Chen's dark eyes stared at the black altar. The restriction around the black altar is very strong. Even with my array Dao attainments, it will be difficult to break through it. After pondering for a while, Fang Chen thought of an idea. I should be able to enter with the help of these 2 people. Thinking of this, Fang Chen used the spacetime escape technique and quietly approached the black altar. Crack. Although Bing Wuxuang and the flying guillotine were not on good terms, they cooperated at this moment. Bing Wuxuang activated her ice bloodline and froze the black altar. At the same time, the flying guillotine activated his blood snake bloodline to the extreme. Rip. The rich bloodline power condensed into a blood python in the void. Under the control of the flying guillotine, the blood python opened its bloody mouth and roared angrily. At the same time, a terrifying suction force emerged. Crack. A crisp sound came from the barrier as it shook, as if it was on the verge of collapsing. Just when everyone thought that the 2 of them could open the restriction together. All of a sudden, a vast amount of energy surged toward them and sent them flying. Thump. Thump. Bing Wuxuang and the flying guillotine forcefully stabilized their bodies. Their faces were pale and their blood was boiling. Too strong. The 2 of them looked at each other with fear in their hearts. Let's go. Fang Chen had been waiting for this moment. After seizing the opportunity, he quickly formed a seal with both hands and used the remaining attacks of Bing Wuxuang and the flying guillotine. At the same time, he activated his powerful array Dao to forcibly break a small gap in the restriction. A violent force escaped from the gap. Fang Chen gritted his teeth and plunged in. Buzz. In the blink of an eye, the gap closed. Look, someone has gone in. Suddenly, someone in the crowd shouted, causing a huge commotion. How did he get in? Is he stronger than Bing Wuxuang and the flying guillotine? Many people exclaimed. Bing Wuxuang and the flying guillotine's faces were extremely gloomy. Damn it, how dare you use me? The flying guillotine said coldly. Bing Wuxuang flicked her sleeve and said, how dare you plot against me? I'll freeze you into an ice sculpture. Fang Chen had just entered the black altar when he felt a vast power surge over him. Not good. Fang Chen cursed inwardly, but it was too late. A wild power bound him, and he was trapped in a black sphere. Buzz. The dark bloodline in his body erupted and resonated with the black altar. Outside the altar, everyone was furious when they saw this scene. Damn it, this guy beat us to it. The flying guillotine looked at Bing Wuxuang and said, Brother Bing, the 2 of us need to work together. No problem. If I don't tear this hateful guy to pieces, I won't be able to vent my anger, Bing Wuxuang said. Okay, let's attack the restriction together and disturb him. Rumble. In the next moment, Bing Wuxuang and the flying guillotine worked together to attack the restriction together. Deafening sounds came from the restriction. Although the restriction was shaking, it was still very strong. Fang Chen, who was on the black altar, was completely unaware. At this moment, he was filled with shock. His darkness bloodline was actually evolving at an accelerated rate after absorbing the terrifying power inside the black altar. Is it evolving into the black hole bloodline? Fang Chen was secretly delighted. If that was the case, it would be great. The black hole bloodline was one of the strongest bloodlines in the ancient chaos era. It was said to be a super powerful bloodline that could devour any bloodline in the world. Hiss. As time passed, Fang Chen's dark bloodline had reached the most critical moment of evolution. In the outside world, everyone was even more anxious. Especially Bing Wushuang and the flying guillotine, their attacks were even fiercer. They did not hold back and used all their trump cards. Chapter 2755. Wang. Around the black altar, there were already some broken restrictions. Suddenly, there was a huge change. A vast amount of energy entered Fang Chen's body and merged with his darkness bloodline before surging out once more. This power quickly shot into the restriction, causing it to become firm again. Damn it! Seeing Fang Chen about to absorb the bloodline power in the black altar, Bing Wushuang and the guillotine's attacks became even more frenzied. Inside the black altar, Fang Chen sat cross-legged, covered by the black power. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours. He didn't know how much time had passed, but it felt very long. With a boom, the darkness bloodline in his body completed its evolution. The vast bloodline power flowed through his body, and Fang Chen felt his power suddenly increase. Achem. Originally, the water source bloodline and the fire source bloodline rejected the darkness bloodline, but now they submitted. Hiss. Hiss. Fang Chen looked inside his body and found that the darkness bloodline contained an extremely strong power. Or, more accurately, the bloodline in his body was no longer the darkness bloodline. It was the legendary black hole bloodline. Black hole bloodline? Fang Chen murmured. Suddenly, a large amount of information appeared in his mind. A moment later, Fang Chen understood. He wore a smile on his face as his heart was filled with excitement. The black altar was left behind by the ancient era's bloodline king, and it did contain some power related to the black hole bloodline. And Fang Chen happened to absorb it because of his darkness bloodline. It allowed the darkness bloodline to complete its evolution, but it was too difficult to evolve into a black hole bloodline. Even Fang Chen couldn't do it in a short time. According to the information, the bloodline in his body should be called the pseudo-black hole bloodline. If he could devour all 49 special bloodlines in the bloodline barrier one day, it could evolve into a true black hole bloodline. Although it's a pseudo-black hole bloodline, it at least has some special abilities. Fang Chen was delighted. At least, he wouldn't have to worry about being rejected when he absorbed other special bloodlines. Let's try the 8 bottles of essence blood. Suddenly, a thought flashed through Fang Chen's mind. Now that his bloodline had completed its evolution, it was time to try the new bloodline power and see how strong it was. He quickly took out a bottle of essence blood and opened the lid. Immediately, a suction force enveloped the bottle. In the blink of an eye, the bottle of essence blood was completely absorbed. Dong dong dong. Fang Chen's body shook, and a trace of black gold power gradually appeared. Then, he closed his eyes. After a long while, Fang Chen opened his eyes. He looked at the rich black gold energy in his body and felt delighted. After evolution, the darkness bloodline's bloodline, the absorption bloodline's absorption speed. In the blink of an eye, he possessed the black gold bloodline. This was the 3rd special bloodline that he had absorbed. Voila! Next, Fang Chen black hole bloodline. At this point, apart from the pseudo-black hole bloodline, Fang Chen had 10 special bloodlines in his body. Under the effect of the pseudo-black hole bloodline, the 2 incompatible special bloodlines could coexist peacefully. Moreover, with the 10 bloodline powers mixed together, Fang Chen's strength had reached an unimaginable level. Whoosh! He flicked his finger, and a vast finger light shot out. Crack! The finger light contained the power of the one sword of heaven and earth. At the same time, Fang Chen also poured in the power of the 10 bloodlines. With a boom, the seal that Bing Wushuang and the flying guillotine couldn't break was easily broken by Fang Chen. Boom! The flying guillotine and Bing Wushuang attacked crazily. Suddenly, they found a gap in the seal, and then the seal shattered. The two of them had ferocious expressions as their pitch-black eyes stared fixedly at Fang Chen. Boy, hand over the bloodline power you absorbed. Bing Wuxuang's aura surged, and she secretly froze the void. As for the flying guillotine beside him, above his head, a thick blood python soared into the air and flicked its tongue at Fang Chen. Between heaven and earth, a biting cold aura surrounded Fang Chen. In the distance, many tribesmen stared at this scene with wide eyes. Who is this guy? How dare he steal from Bing Wuxuang and the flying guillotine? What a guy who wants to die. Humph, an early star ancient realm guy dares to go against the flying guillotine. Many tribesmen discussed and looked at Fang Chen with mockery. From now on, every drop of blood in your body doesn't belong to you. The flying guillotine said gloomily, I will refine all of your blood essence, and then cut you into pieces. Fang Chen shrugged, somewhat speechless. The black altar has no owner, and everyone has a share. The two of you together can't break the seal. But I passed through the seal and successfully obtained the bloodline power, and you want to steal it? Whoosh. Bing Wuxuang shook her hand, and heaven and earth turned into a vast expanse of white, covered by snow. The thick blood python above the flying guillotine's head also let out a deafening roar. Kill. The flying guillotine waved his hand, controlling the thick blood python to attack Fang Chen. As for Bing Wuxuang, she released her ice bloodline and froze the entire area. Ice bloodline? Fang Chen murmured. He opened his hands, and a wisp of black aura appeared and spun rapidly, forming a black vortex. Hiss. Hiss. The power of the ice bloodline was instantly absorbed. Crack. The ice and snow that sealed heaven and earth was shattered by Fang Chen. Huh. Seeing this, Bing Wuxuang was stunned. What's going on? His pitch-black eyes stared fixedly at Fang Chen. At the same time, the flying guillotine's blood python whizzed over. Scram. Fang Chen clenched his fist, wrapped it with the power of the pseudo-black hole bloodline, and punched the blood python's head. Crack. Under everyone's gaze, the thick blood python was sent flying, its head shattered and its body scattered. Vast waves of air spread out, and the flying guillotine could not help but take a few steps back. He took a deep breath and stared at Fang Chen. Brother Bing, this kid is not simple. Let's work together and kill him. The flying guillotine said. Bing Wuxuang nodded, and the two attacked together. Sword of Heaven and Earth. Facing two ancient life realm experts, Fang Chen did not dare to be careless. He swung his sword, and the sky changed color. He swung his sword twice, and bright sword light burst out toward the two. Bloodline power, fuse. At the same time, the power of the pseudo-black hole bloodline, along with the power of the 10 special bloodlines, fused into the Sword of Heaven and Earth. Suddenly, the power of the Sword of Heaven and Earth was raised to the peak. What a powerful sword technique! Bing Wuxuang was shocked. This was the strongest sword technique he had ever seen since he started cultivating. He could not imagine how there could be such an exquisite sword technique in the world. Crack. The ice and snow covering the ground shattered, and Bing Wuxuang's body was forced to retreat. Whoosh. The sword pierced through the void, and in a panic, Bing Wuxuang used all her strength to resist. Boom. A vast explosion swept across the ground, and Bing Wuxuang's body was drowned. At the same time, another sword light collided with the flying guillotine. The flying guillotine's body was covered in blood, and he roared at the sky in anger. Crash. By the time the two of them reacted, Fang Chen had already used the space-time escape technique and left. Where is he? The flying guillotine was furious. Bing Wuxuang used her ice bloodline to sense the aura on the ground, but she could not find anything. The two of them looked at each other, and their eyes were filled with anger. Damn you, don't let me know which tribe you are from, or I will massacre your tribe. The flying guillotine said angrily. This guy has 10 different bloodlines. I don't believe that we can't find him if we investigate each tribe. Bing Wuxuang said. Although she did not say it out loud, she was extremely shocked. The flying guillotine's blood serpent bloodline was already a very strong devouring bloodline, and it could forcefully fuse with other bloodlines. But until now, the flying guillotine had only absorbed one bloodline. One could imagine how difficult it was to fuse with other bloodlines. But this mysterious guy had more than 10 bloodlines, and he must have some secrets. Find this person at all costs. The flying guillotine said, if anyone can provide me with useful information, I will owe him a favor. If you can provide me with his exact location, or his tribe, I will call you my brother from now on. Chapter 2756. The battle for the super bloodline in the Great Evolution mountain range had come to an end. No one would have thought that the flying guillotine and Bing Wushuang, two life ancient realm experts, would fail to obtain it. Instead, it would be obtained by an unknown little guy. After this news spread, half of the bloodline boundary was shaken. Many tribes were inquiring about Fang Chen, especially after the flying guillotine made a promise. They were extremely excited. The flying guillotine and Bing Wushuang had declared that they would kill Fang Chen. Flame tribe, inside the slaughtering array. At some point in time, Fang Chen had already returned silently. On a small hill, Fang Chen sat cross-legged and began to consolidate his power. Absorbing 10 special bloodlines at once caused the power in Fang Chen's body to be somewhat chaotic. Rumble. A deafening sound resounded through the sky. The pseudo-black hole bloodline was completely activated, and the other 10 bloodlines quieted down. Ice tribe. Wushuang, are you sure that person is just an early star ancient realm guy? A respected elder of the Ice tribe asked in a low voice. Bing Wushuang was expressionless as she said calmly, yes, that person has at least 10 different bloodlines. I suspect that he has a special secret technique. To be able to escape from you and the flying guillotine shows that this person's potential is heaven-defying. I really can't think of when such an expert appeared in the bloodline boundary, the elder said. Suddenly, his expression changed and he cried out involuntarily, could it be that this person is an outsider? Once upon a time, all kinds of outsiders had appeared in the bloodline boundary. Every outsider had schemed to obtain the 49 bloodlines and then leave the boundary. However, from ancient times until now, there had been almost no one who had succeeded. There will be a result soon. Bing Wushuang murmured. The flying guillotine and Bing Wushuang still remembered the battle in the Great Evolution mountain range. They clearly remembered that Fang Chen had 10 special bloodlines. Each bloodline represented a tribe. Starting from these 10 tribes, they would definitely be able to find Fang Chen's whereabouts. As Bing Wushuang expected, in just half a month, someone sent news that the mysterious expert was most likely from the Flame tribe. They also learned that not long ago, the Flame tribe had destroyed the Water tribe and taken their tribe guarding divine water. All this information combined, Bing Wushuang was even more certain that there was something wrong with the Flame tribe. Let's go. Many members of the Ice tribe, led by Bing Wushuang, headed for the Flame tribe. In another direction, the flying guillotine. However, Fang Chen, who was in the Flame tribe, was completely unaware of this. He was still consolidating his cultivation base and studying the mysteries of the 10 special bloodlines. Big brother. One day, Fang Chen came out of seclusion. Just as he walked down the hill, he saw Xiao Hua. Wushuang. When Fang Chen saw that Xiao Hua was hesitant to speak, he asked directly, is something the matter? Big brother, recently, there have been many clansmen from other tribes secretly investigating our fire tribe. Lil Hua told Fang Chen everything that had happened. After Wushuang's Wushuang could it be, Wushuang's heart tightened. He had nothing to fear, but the Flame tribe was different. Quick, call Grandpa Patriarch, Fang Chen said hurriedly. Soon, many patriarchs of the Flame tribe and the old patriarch appeared in front of Fang Chen. Little friend Fang, what's the matter? Why did you call us so urgently? Since Fang Chen had single-handedly annihilated the Water Source tribe, everyone in the Flame tribe had treated Fang Chen as a god, and were extremely respectful towards him. Now that Fang Chen was in trouble, they immediately came. I offended some tribes, and they are very likely to attack the Flame tribe. However, before Fang Chen could finish, the slaughter formation was shattered by a powerful force. Kid, get out here. A deafening voice resounded through the sky. Then, the entire Flame tribe was surrounded by many other tribes. Among them, the Flying Guillotine and Bing Wushuang were the leaders. The two of them looked mockingly at Fang Chen and said coldly, Kid, we let you escape in the Great Evolution mountain range. Let's see how you escape this time. If you dare to escape, Everyone in the flame tribe will die with you. Bing Wushuang threatened. At the same time, everyone in the ice tribe activated their ice bloodline. Biting cold ice and snow instantly froze the flame tribe. Not good. Fang Chen cursed inwardly. With a thought, he opened Dark Cave Mountain and wanted to take the flame tribe in. However, at this moment, something strange happened. Poochie. A giant hand appeared out of thin air. The large hand contained extreme power and suddenly grabbed at Fang Chen. Scram. Fang Chen punched out and collided with the large hand. Rumble. Rumbling thunder sounded, and the void twisted and shattered. You've been tricked. Fang Chen's voice was heard. Following this, a black figure appeared behind the old patriarch and grabbed him by the neck. I've been observing your behavior. Although you're not from the flame tribe, you value the flame tribe very much. The black shadow said, if you dare to move, I'll kill him. Don't worry about me. The old tribe leader saw this and shouted, take Xiaohua away. Xiaohua was the hope of the flame tribe. If he died, the flame tribe would be finished. Fang Chen wanted to activate the mysterious underworld heart, but he was shocked to find that he had lost contact with it. Fang Chen instantly understood that this person was behind all this. He had cut off his connection with Dark Cave Mountain. Damn it. Fang Chen's figure flashed and used the spacetime escape technique. Numerous shadows appeared in the sky. At the same time, he held the hidden star sword and used the sword of heaven and earth. Kill. Fang Chen roared and swung his sword. Crack. The black shadow's wrist shook and the old tribe leader's neck was broken. The elderly patriarch looked at Fang Chen until his death, his eyes filled with pleading. Kill him. This sudden turn of events caused the flying guillotine and Bing Wushuang to be stunned. However, after the two of them recovered from their shock, they waved their hands and a large number of cultivators surrounded Fang Chen. Without a hostage, the black-clothed martial artist could not resist Fang Chen's attack. Last time, he could barely fight with Fang Chen. But now, facing Fang Chen's invincible sword principle, his heart was filled with fear. How is this possible? The hidden star sword contained a majestic and vast power. The power of 10 bloodlines vibrated and pierced the black shadow's chest with lightning speed. Boom! The black shadow's body exploded. At the same time, a mighty attack whistled. Whoosh! The ice and snow froze the entire flame tribe. Countless tribesmen screamed. Fang Chen grabbed Xiaohua and held him in his arms. Sword of heaven and earth. He stabbed out several times in a row. Dazzling sword light whizzed out. However, Fang Chen still underestimated the abilities of the flying guillotine and Bing Wushuang. This time, they brought their tribe's supreme treasures. The two supreme treasures burst out with dazzling light and blocked Fang Chen's sword attack. Ding! 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 Fang Chen's figure retreated quickly. His eyes were filled with madness, but his reason told him not to be impulsive. Down below, familiar figures were lying in pools of blood. Grandpa, uncle, every time someone fell into a pool of blood, Lil Flame would weep silently. No. Fang Chen roared hysterically, but it was to no avail. Led by the flying guillotine and Bing Wushuang, many tribes were determined to eradicate the flame tribe. Boy, you are the culprit behind the destruction of the flame tribe. The flying guillotine laughed. I want you to watch the destruction of the flame tribe. I want you to feel guilty and guilty. You are courting death. The hidden star sword let out a loud sword cry and instantly expanded. Then, it slashed out. Dong. The flying guillotine activated the supreme treasure of his tribe and joined forces with Bing Wushuang to block Fang Chen's sword light. Without your sword art, how can you block our attack? Bing Wushuang was covered with ice as she said eerily. See. This is the result of going against us. The flying guillotine pointed at the dead tribesman below and said eerily. You. Chapter 2757. It had to be said that the Blood Serpent tribe and the Ice tribe were not comparable to the declining Flame tribe. The two tribes had supreme treasures that were abnormally powerful. They were able to block Fang Chen's invincible sword Dao. For a moment, Fang Chen was in a dilemma. Grandpa, in his arms, Xiaohua's face was covered with tears. He looked at his family members lying in a pool of blood below and cried bitterly, "Kill." In the blink of an eye, the entire flame tribe was dead except for Xiao Hua. At this time, Bing Wushuang and the flying guillotine finally began to attack with all their might. They were determined to kill Fang Chen. Rumble. The combination of the ice bloodline and the blood serpent bloodline was extremely powerful. In the sky, an ice dragon and a blood serpent stood side by side. They opened their bloody mouths and roared at the sky. "Boy, you're dead." The flying guillotine sneered. With the treasures in his hand, Fang Chen's sword attacks were useless against him. Ding, ding. He waved the hidden star sword and stabbed the ice dragon, making the sound of metal colliding. At the same time, the blood serpent spat out venom and pounced on Fang Chen. "Let's go." Although his heart was in pain, reason prevailed over madness. Fang Chen chose to endure for the time being. "Want to leave?" Seeing Fang Chen's intention, the two experts joined forces and sealed the entire void. At the same time, their attack power soared. They wanted to end the battle quickly and kill Fang Chen. However, when Fang Chen saw this, his eyes were filled with cold killing intent. "One day, I will kill everyone in your tribe." After saying this, Fang Chen's figure flashed and phantoms appeared out of thin air. There were thousands of phantoms and it was impossible to tell which one was the doppelganger. Poochie. The ice dragon and blood serpent opened their bloody mouths and the phantoms shattered one by one. However, Fang Chen's original body had already disappeared. After a long while, the thousands of phantoms all dissipated. The flying guillotine and Bing Wushuang's faces were gloomy. They floated in the air and looked at each other. Their eyes were filled with killing intent. "Damn it. Even if we have to dig 3 feet into the ground, we have to find him." The news quickly spread throughout the bloodline enchantment world, and all the tribes were shocked. Once upon a time, the Flame tribe was also a relatively strong tribe. But now, it had fallen to such a state. It made people sigh. The Ice tribe and the Blood Serpent tribe joined forces to sweep through the area. They were determined to find Fang Chen. Southwest of the bloodline barrier, on a towering mountain peak that pierced through the clouds. Fang Chen stood there quietly, his dark eyes looking down. A cool breeze blew past and hit his face, causing him to feel a slight pain. Fang Chen's palm curled up a little. There was a very deep wound on his palm. The sound of sobbing could be heard. Fang Chen turned his head to look. Xiao Hua was sitting on the ground, heartbroken. "Grandpa, uncles are all dead. The entire Flame tribe has been annihilated." Xiao Hua choked with sobs. Since he was born, he had been living in the Flame tribe. He was used to such a life, but now, his family had left him. Fang Chen walked to Xiao Hua's side and patted him on the shoulder. "Xiao Hua, I will personally kill those who attacked the Flame tribe." Xiao Hua wiped the tears from the corner of his eyes and raised his head. He looked at Fang Chen seriously and said, "Brother, they are all dead. From now on, you are my only family. Don't worry. Brother will protect you for the rest of your life." Fang Chen promised. "I can't cry. I have to avenge the people of the tribe." Xiao Hua clenched his fists and stood up. He suppressed the pain in his heart and said, "Brother, can you teach me cultivation?" Fang Chen nodded. Since the Flame tribe was annihilated, Fang Chen seemed to have disappeared into thin air. No matter how hard the Blood Serpent tribe and the Ice tribe searched, there was no news. This made the flying guillotine and Bing Wushuang even more anxious. Their goal was to find Fang Chen. However, even after such a long time had passed, there was still no sign of him. However, they did not give up. They continued to search with perseverance. As for Fang Chen, he hid Immortal Cave Mountain and cultivated with Xiao Hua. Under his guidance, Xiao Hua's cultivation improved day by day. However, the time was too short. No matter how strong Xiao Hua's potential was, it was impossible for him to reach the ancient god level. As his strength improved, the worry on Xiao Hua's face gradually disappeared and was replaced by a smile. Seeing this, Fang Chen finally breathed a sigh of relief. "With my current strength, I can deal with ordinary early life ancient realm experts, but it will be difficult for me to deal with the flying guillotine and Bing Wushuang." Fang Chen murmured. In the end, It was because he was not strong enough. Otherwise, the flying guillotine and Bing Wuxuang would be nothing. The Flame Tribe would not have been annihilated because of him. Every time he thought of the Flame Tribe and the tribesmen who died under his nose, Fang Chen's heart was filled with anger. He swore that one day, he would destroy those two tribes and avenge the Flame Tribe. Next, Fang Chen began to cultivate in seclusion. He would not come out until his cultivation had a breakthrough. Continent of Despair, Tianshu Yuan. Ever since Fang Chen's death, the Tianshu Yuan's mayor had been in a bad mood. Dean. One day, Wu Yu and the other two found the Tianshu Yuan's mayor. Recently, the Lin family seems to have made some moves. They have secretly contacted many bloodfiends and seem to be persuading them to help the Lin family, Wu Gan said. By the side, Bai Ling also opened her mouth and said, according to the information we have, the Lin family is extremely unwilling to accept Lin Yuan's death. They seem to be secretly gathering many blood fiends to start another war with our Tianshu courtyard. The Tianshu Yuan's mayor looked up and glanced at the three. It's fine, the Tianshu Yuan's mayor said calmly. Seeing this, the three of them did not say anything else. In the vast primordial chaos, there was no end to it. In a mysterious place of nothingness, a few old men were sitting together drinking tea. There was a smooth mirror in front of them, and the image on it was none other than the bloodline barrier. Fire Demon Perfected Lord. Suddenly, an old man spoke. Before he could finish, the old man, Fire Demon Perfected Lord, whose entire body was covered in flames, spoke. It's fine. I won't be angry over such a small matter. Seeing this, the old men heaved a sigh of relief. Fire Demon Perfected Lord was famous for his bad temper and his protective nature. How could he not be angry that his descendant had been destroyed? I'm looking forward to that little guy evolving his bloodline into the black hole bloodline. Then, he will absorb 49 special bloodlines and break the bloodline barrier by himself. On the smooth mirror, the scene changed to that of Dark Cave Mountain. Fire Demon Perfected Lord's gaze passed through Dark Cave Mountain and saw everything inside. That's right. For countless years, no one has been able to complete the test set by the Bloodline King. This guy is the most promising one, said the disheveled old man. The black-robed old man nodded as well. Once he absorbs 49 special bloodlines, he will be able to become one of the candidates. This is a great opportunity. I hope that guy can grasp it. Everyone was an expert who had survived from the primordial era and stood at the peak of the primordial chaos. However, when they mentioned the Bloodline King, their expressions were solemn and filled with respect. I wonder what the Bloodline King is planning, the disheveled old man asked in confusion. What can he learn from studying the bloodlines of the 10,000 races? He might as well seize the time to raise his cultivation. If outsiders were to hear the conversation between the old men, they would definitely be shocked to the extreme. After all, every word they said was a secret to the primordial chaos. Fire Demon Perfected Lord's gaze shifted from Fang Chen to Xiao Hua. He could clearly see that there was a fire seed that had yet to be activated in Xiao Hua's body. Interesting. Fire Demon Perfected Lord grinned. Even if everyone in the fire tribe were to die, it was fine as long as this little guy was alive. Little guy, the moment your fire demon fire seed is completely activated, you will know how terrifying your potential is, Fire Demon Perfected Lord thought to himself. Fire Demon True Monarch thought to himself, in fact, you might even reach my level one day. I'm really looking forward to meeting you. While Fire Demon Perfected Lord was observing Xiao Hua, the other old men were discussing Fang Chen's Dark Cave Mountain. Do you guys realize that this spatial utmost treasure is familiar? The disheveled old man suddenly asked. Hey! Now that you mention it, I feel it too. It's familiar, the black-robed old man said. Piak! The grey-robed old man slapped his forehead and exclaimed, Cave Ruins Emperor. Chapter 2758. Yes, it's the Cavern Ruins Emperor. Fire Demon Perfected Lord looked back and said. He had also sensed a familiar aura in Cave Dark Mountain, but he couldn't recall who it was. Now that he thought about it, it really was the Cavern Ruins Emperor's aura. It seems that this guy is from the ancient Saint Chaos, old Zhao said with a smile. The Cavern Ruins Emperor was an expert on the same level as them, but he was much younger and was their junior. They had seen him somewhere before. It's getting more and more interesting. I wonder how the Cavern Ruins Emperor will react if he knows that his successor has a chance to become one of the candidates. Although he has the pseudo-black hole bloodline, it's still difficult for him to become a candidate. Bloodline Barrier, Cave Dark Mountain. Ever since Fang Chen went into seclusion, Xiao Hua had been cultivating alone. He raised his head and looked at the endless sky. He kept feeling that someone was spying on him. Who is it? Xiao Hua muttered. After looking for a long time, he didn't find anything and turned his gaze to himself. I feel like there's a powerful flame energy in my body, but I can't find it. Xiao Hua muttered to himself. Forget it, I'll cultivate in peace. I'll ask my brother when he comes out of seclusion. Xiao Hua sat cross-legged and continued to comprehend the mysteries of the fire origin bloodline. Not far away, 10 bloodline powers surrounded Fang Chen's body. The pseudo-black hole bloodline floated above his head, slowly absorbing the 10 special bloodlines. This was a long process. Fang Chen was determined to evolve the pseudo-black hole bloodline into a real black hole bloodline. Therefore, he calmed himself down and started to cultivate. Time passed by. 1 year, 2 years, 10 years, 100 years. 30,000 years passed in a leisurely manner. It took Fang Chen less than 20,000 years to reach the early stage of the Star Ancient Realm. But this time, he had already spent 30,000 years in seclusion. During this time, Xiao Hua glanced at Fang Chen from time to time, but the latter was in seclusion. Brother seems to have broken through. Xiao Hua muttered to himself when he sensed that Fang Chen's aura had become stronger. In fact, Fang Chen had indeed broken through. After 30,000 years, his cultivation base had quietly reached the peak of the Star Ancient Realm. He had broken through 3 minor realms in a row, and his strength had improved by leaps and bounds. The evolution of the pseudo-black hole bloodline had also reached an extremely crucial step. During this period, Bing Wushuang and the Flying Guillotine's cultivation had also improved by leaps and bounds. Not long ago, the two of them had broken through to the Middle Life Ancient Realm, and their strength had risen to a whole new level. They even showed signs of becoming the strongest masters in the bloodline barrier. Over the past 30,000 years, the bloodline enchantment had gradually calmed down. No more outsiders entered this place. Following the disappearance of Fang Chen, the events of the Flame Tribe gradually died down. Within the Tribe of Ice, as far as the eye could see, it was a vast expanse of whiteness, covered in ice and snow. Snowflakes drifted down from the sky. Bing Wushuang sat cross-legged on a snowy mountain. The void around her was frozen. Voila! Suddenly, he opened his eyes and spread out his hands. The entire snowy mountain instantly froze. The snowflakes floating in the air were also instantly imprisoned. My ice bloodline has finally evolved to its most perfect state. Bing Wushuang grinned. She gently exhaled a mouthful of turbid air, and the world returned to its original state. Thump, thump, thump. Someone rushed up from the foot of the mountain, panting as he said, "Wushuang, we found a suspicious place." Bing Wushuang looked at the person calmly and did not speak. Because the location of the All Clans meeting is at Holy Mountain, we investigated in advance, but we didn't expect to find a shocking scene. The person said in a low voice, "Our people found what seems to be a space-type supreme treasure halfway up Holy Mountain." Hearing this, Bing Wushuang's calm face finally twitched. It's been 30,000 years since that incident. The Tribe of Ice and the Blood Serpent Tribe have searched 3 feet deep, but we still can't find that guy. It's as if he disappeared into thin air, so I guess he's hiding in a space-type supreme treasure. After hearing the last sentence, Bing Wushuang jumped to her feet. How much longer until the All Clans meeting? 3 more days. Let's go to Holy Mountain immediately. Holy Mountain was the core area of the bloodline barrier. This mountain was very famous as it towered into the clouds. Every time there was a major event, the All Clans would hold a meeting here. This meeting was a regular meeting that was held every 100,000 years to discuss the future development of the bloodline barrier. 3 days later, the people of the Tribe of Ice arrived at Holy Mountain. At this time, Holy Mountain was already packed with people. All the clans had gathered here. It's there. Someone in the crowd pointed. Bing Wushuang opened her palm and secretly released her ice bloodline. Layers of ice seeped into the ground and then spread halfway up the mountain. Soon, he discovered the existence of the space-type supreme treasure. He hid it really well. Bing Wushuang sneered and stepped out, arriving halfway up the mountain. Her actions attracted the attention of many martial artists at the peak of Holy Mountain. What's Bing Wushuang doing? He seems to be looking for something. Whispers could be heard incessantly. Crack. Ice covered Holy Mountain, and the entire mountain was frozen. In an instant, Immortal Cave Mountain, which was hidden in the void, revealed its true form. Many martial artists were shocked. They didn't expect there to be a space-type supreme treasure hidden halfway up the mountain. Who is it that is hiding here? Look at Bing Wushuang's angry face. It can't be that guy from 30,000 years ago, right? Boom. In the distance, the smell of blood spread. A crimson python pierced through the sky and roared. On top of the crimson python, there was a tall and straight figure that leaped down. The flying guillotine took a look and found the space-type supreme treasure. Is it that guy? The flying guillotine asked. Most likely. The bloodline barrier wasn't very big, so Bing Wushuang knew it very well. She had never heard of such a space-type supreme treasure. Interesting. He's been hiding here for 30,000 years. The flying guillotine laughed eerily. On the mountain peak, many tribes looked at each other. Those who had a good relationship with the two tribes all stood out to support the two experts. Boom. Bing Wushuang activated her ice bloodline and froze Holy Cave Mountain to prevent it from escaping. I'll leave it to you. Hearing this, the flying guillotine nodded heavily. He took a step forward and stepped on Holy Cave Mountain. Then, the crimson python surrounded him and punched the mountain. Rumble. Holy Cave Mountain shook. Fang Chen, who was in seclusion, suddenly woke up. Brother, you're awake? Seeing this, Xiao Hua hurriedly shouted, there seems to be an attack outside. Buzz. Fang Chen's body was surrounded by a black aura. Xiao Hua was caught off guard and was surrounded by the black aura. It was so oppressive that he couldn't breathe. So scary, Xiao Hua mumbled. Fang Chen raised his hand and wisps of black aura swam in his palm. A smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Black hole bloodline. After 30,000 years, not only had his cultivation reached the peak of the Star Ancient Realm, but his black hole bloodline had also evolved. When I absorb all 49 bloodlines, the power of the black hole bloodline will be fully displayed. Fang Chen stood up and patted Xiao Hua's shoulder. Xiao Hua, do you still remember the scene of the tribe being annihilated 30,000 years ago? Fang Chen asked. Of course. Xiao Hua clenched his fists, killing intent surging. Do you want to avenge them? I think about it all the time. Fang Chen nodded and waved his finger. Suddenly, a mirror appeared in the void, showing the many tribesmen outside. Watch how I kill all of them and avenge my tribesmen. With that, Fang Chen took a step forward and disappeared from Holy Cave Mountain. Halfway up Myriad Holy Mountain. At this moment, many experts had gathered and were attacking with all their might. Crack. Holy Cave Mountain shook as if it would shatter at any time. Everyone, work harder. The spatial treasure can't withstand our power and is about to shatter, the flying guillotine said in a low voice. Chapter 2759. Listen to my command. Attack. At the flying guillotine's command, more than a dozen ancient gods of the life ancient realm attacked at lightning speed. Dazzling bloodline power leaped out and fused together in the void, transforming into a ferocious beast that charged towards Cave Dark Mountain. Rip. Before the ferocious beast could get close, Fang Chen walked out. He stepped on Cave Dark Mountain with an imposing aura. Bang! With a light punch, he broke everyone's joint attack, and the ferocious beast instantly dissipated. After seeing Fang Chen, Bing Wushuang and the flying guillotine's expressions changed, and their eyes were filled with passion. Bing Wushuang stood with her hands behind her back and said indifferently, Kid, you've been hiding for 30,000 years. Are you finally willing to come out? The flying guillotine mocked, Coward, if you hadn't been hiding here for 30,000 years, you would have died at my hands. Fang Chen's gaze swept across everyone, and finally landed on the flying guillotine and Bing Wushuang. Although he was facing enemies, he was very calm. This was because, in his opinion, Bing Wushuang and the flying guillotine were merely ants. Why would he be angry when facing ants? Very good, it seems that you haven't forgotten the crimes you committed 30,000 years ago. Fang Chen asked. It's just a flame tribe. If it's destroyed, then so be it. You can't even protect yourself now, and you still want revenge? The flying guillotine sneered. Fang Chen shook his head and muttered to himself, no one stays the same forever. Bing Wushuang raised her eyebrows. It seems that the increase in your cultivation in the past 30,000 years has given you a lot of confidence. You think you have the strength to fight us? Correction, I don't have the strength to fight you, but to crush you, Fang Chen said. Immediately, it caused a roar of laughter. What a joke. A star ancient realm trash dares to be so arrogant in front of life ancient realm experts. Kid, I think the more you cultivate, the more confused you become. I don't need the flying guillotine and Bing Wushuang to deal with you. I can easily crush you. Fang Chen was too lazy to pay attention to these ignorant fools. He looked up at the many people on the mountain peak. He was a little surprised. Why had all the tribes in the bloodline enchantment world come here? But soon, he understood. Xiao Hua sent him a voice transmission, saying that the meeting of the various races that occurred once every 100,000 years would be held on Myriad Saints Mountain. Fang Chen rolled his eyes and said with a smile, so, all the tribes in the bloodline barrier have gathered. After the pseudo-black hole bloodline evolved into the black hole bloodline, Fang Chen's only goal was to absorb all of the bloodlines. Now was the perfect opportunity to save him the trouble of running around. Brother Shui, there's no need for you to deal with such trash. I'm willing to do it for you. The person who spoke was a life ancient realm ancient god from the Flame Thunder tribe. However, his cultivation base was only at the early life ancient realm. His body flickered as he closed in on Fang Chen. Then, he unleashed a fist strike filled with the power of the Flame Lightning bloodline. Fang Chen gently raised his hand and grabbed the man's fist as fast as lightning. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't break free from Fang Chen's grip. The power of the Flame Lightning bloodline on his fist was quickly absorbed into Fang Chen's body. Not good. The ancient god from the Flame Thunder tribe cried out, but it was too late. Didn't anyone tell you that 30,000 years ago, I was already able to resist an early life ancient realm expert? Fang Chen's voice entered his ears. Crack. His hand was torn apart and blood sprayed into the air. Then, Fang Chen kicked him away. A miserable scream came from his mouth. The surrounding people were shocked. Just like that, an early life ancient realm martial artist had their cultivation crippled. 30,000 years had passed, so just how strong had he become? Let me deal with him. A mid-life ancient realm expert who had a good relationship with the ancient god from the Flame Thunder tribe attacked. Crack. A melodious sound rang out. Fang Chen's simple punch pierced through Xiao Chen's body. At the same time, he drained Xiao Chen's bloodline energy. Poochie. The mid-life ancient god was instantly killed. If the previous scene only shocked the tribesmen, then the scene in front of them was enough to set off a storm in their hearts. Fang Chen took a step forward and stood at the edge of Dark Cave Mountain, his hands clasped behind his back as he looked down on the crowd. Back then, I said that one day, I would exterminate your tribe and avenge the Flamefire tribe. Fang Chen said firmly, now that I've returned, it's time to fulfill my promise. At this moment, his aura was monstrous, like a dragon or a rainbow, incomparably domineering. Invincible sword chi surrounded his body, making him look like a heaven-shaking giant sword. The flying guillotine and Bing Wushuang narrowed their eyes and stared at Fang Chen. I have to say, your strength has increased a lot in the past 30,000 years. The flying guillotine said, but you're just a rogue cultivator. How can you fight against our bloodline barrier? I don't even need to do anything to deal with you. As soon as the flying guillotine finished speaking, more than 10 life ancient realm experts attacked together. Kill. The sound shook the sky, and a terrifying aura spread out. Xiao Hua, who was in Dark Cave Mountain, was very worried about Fang Chen and secretly prayed. With the hidden star sword in hand, Fang Chen's invincible sword chi became stronger. Annihilation sword. With a shake of his wrist, the hidden star sword drew a beautiful trajectory in the sky. The first move of the invincible sword Dao, the annihilation sword, was displayed. The mighty sword light rushed into the crowd and then exploded. At the same time, Fang Chen waved the second sword, the sword of heaven and earth. Pucci. Everyone was still struggling in the explosion of the first sword and had no time to deal with the second sword. The sword of heaven and earth seemed to be unstoppable. With incredible power, it pierced through many people's heads and finally rushed toward the flying guillotine. Get lost. The flying guillotine was furious. He took out the supreme treasure of his tribe and smashed the sword light. The entire Myriad Saints Mountain was dead silent. Everyone stared dumbfounded at Fang Chen in front of Dark Cave Mountain. He was like a demon god from hell, terrifying everyone. With just 2 swords, he had killed dozens of life-ancient realm experts. Wasn't this too exaggerated? Looking at the corpses lying in a pool of blood, all the blood in their bodies had been sucked dry. It was a tragic sight. What did I just see? Is this real? What is he trying to do? Is he trying to suppress all the races in the bloodline barrier by himself? Heavens, isn't he too strong? 30,000 years ago, I saw him fight. At that time, he couldn't resist the joint attack of the flying guillotine and Bing Wushuang. But now, he can kill an ancient god with a single sword. He's too strong. It's simply unimaginable. Every martial artist had a kind of disbelief in their hearts. Dong. Fang Chen held the hilt of the hidden star sword with both hands and stabbed it into Dark Cave Mountain. Wang. The sound of the sword resounded through the sky. Invincible sword energy filled the void, mercilessly destroying the ice and snow that covered Dark Cave Mountain. Fang Chen's fighting spirit was high, and his aura was monstrous. He had returned in an absolutely powerful manner, shocking everyone. I'm back, Fang Chen said. Revenge begins now. Figures flashed through Fang Chen's mind. There were old patriarchs and many tribesmen. They cheered, as if they were clapping for him. Can your spirits in heaven see that I have avenged you? Fang Chen muttered. A single sword strike had killed dozens of life-ancient realm ancient gods, completely shocking everyone on Holy Mountain. Many tribes were timid and withdrew from the encirclement. In the blink of an eye, there were only 2 tribes left in front of Dark Cave Mountain. The Ice Tribe and the Blood Serpent Tribe. The Flying Guillotine and Bing Wushuang looked at each other. They both knew what the other was thinking. If they won this battle, then from now on, their 2 tribes would become the ruling tribes of the bloodline barrier. If they lost, then their 2 tribes would fall into a state of eternal damnation. They might even be completely destroyed. Wang. A terrifying aura spread out from Bing Wushuang and the flying guillotine. The 2 stood side by side, and the treasures of their tribes released a dazzling light. Their eyes were filled with determination. They had to win this battle. Your strength is beyond our imagination. However, this is the bloodline barrier, our territory. An outsider like you can forget about dominating, Bing Wushuang said. The flying guillotine's face twisted. How can you imagine our methods? Today, we will use your head as a sacrifice to our dead tribesmen. Chapter 2760. Fang Chen stood with his hands clasped behind his back as the hidden star sword stabbed into the mountain. His face was filled with pride. In everyone's eyes, Fang Chen was too arrogant. Even if he had killed many ancient gods with a single strike, he was not qualified to be so arrogant in front of Bing Wushuang and the guillotine. Dong. Heaven and earth shook as an ice dragon and a blood python appeared in the sky. The 2 entwined with each other, causing the entire sky to seem as if it was about to collapse. A fierce and overbearing aura spread out, giving people a very oppressive feeling. The people of the Flame Tribe were innocent, but you viciously killed them all for your own selfish reasons. Fang Chen clenched his fists as anger surged in his heart. Familiar figures appeared in front of his eyes. There was the despair of the old patriarch before his death, and the roars of the other tribesmen before their deaths. The more he thought about it, the angrier he became. Boom! A vast aura surged from his body. Invincible sword chi, invincible confidence. At this moment, it was as bright as the moon in the sky. His hand gently grasped the hilt of the hidden star sword. Roar! A loud sword cry resounded through the sky as if responding to its master's mood. Today, I'm going to start a massacre. Fang Chen's voice rumbled like thunder. Suddenly, many cultivators on the holy mountain retreated, their hearts filled with fear. He's too strong. His aura is still rising. Just how strong is he? Can he really destroy the Ice Tribe and the Blood Serpent Tribe by himself? Many cultivators of the tribes were discussing. Humph, the Blood Snake Tribe and the Ice Tribe are tribes that have existed since ancient times in the bloodline boundary. How can a guy of the Star Ancient Realm compare to them? That's right. The Guillotine and Bing Wushuang have joined forces. Coupled with the treasures of the two tribes, their attack power is unparalleled. This guy is too arrogant. He thinks that there is no one in the bloodline boundary. He wants to dominate here. He's too inexperienced. These voices came from the tribes that had a good relationship with the two tribes. They did not think that Fang Chen could reverse the current unfavorable situation. Die! Finally, after some preparation, the flying guillotine made the first move. Blood illuminates mountains and rivers. With a roar, the flying guillotine leaped and stepped on the crimson python. Roar! The blood python opened its bloody mouth and roared at the sky, emitting a furious roar. The blood python spat out a venom that caused one's heart to palpitate. The venom was so strong that it caused one's expression to change. Even Star Ancient Realm cultivators would be severely injured if they came into contact with the venom. However, in the face of the super strong venom, Fang Chen was fearless. You want to hurt me with this little bit of poison? Fang Chen sneered as he stood there quietly, allowing the blood python to spray its venom onto his body. Hiss hiss hiss. The venom touched Fang Chen's body and seemed to want to corrode it. However, a powerful sword chi halo instantly spread out and burned the venom at a speed invisible to the naked eye. Not a single drop was left. The venom evaporated. Seeing this scene, many cultivators on Myriad Saints Mountain were shocked. However, the flying guillotine seemed to have expected this scene. Fang Chen could kill so many life ancient realm ancient gods with one sword, so it was naturally impossible for him to be hurt by mere venom. Rumble. The blood python's huge body continued to swim in the void. The flying guillotine on the blood python's body formed a complicated seal with both hands. A moment later, the blood in the sky condensed into a blood-colored flower in front of him. As soon as the blood-colored flower appeared, the entire sky was dyed red. The smell of blood spread out, and the entire world seemed to have fallen into hell. It made people feel uncomfortable. You should be proud to die under my blood illuminates mountains and rivers. As he used his strongest trump card, he said gloomily. As an ancient life realm cultivator, he was forced to use his trump card by a Star Ancient Realm cultivator. This alone was enough to shock the world. I'll help you. Bing Wushuang did not stay idle. He activated the ice bloodline in his body to the extreme. From under his feet, a cold aura spread out at a speed invisible to the naked eye. In the blink of an eye, the entire ground was frozen. The frost even covered the entire dark cave mountain and spread toward Fang Chen's body. Bing Wushuang's intention was very simple. She wanted to freeze Fang Chen. Even if she couldn't freeze him, she wanted to disturb him so that he wouldn't have time to deal with the blood illuminates mountains and rivers. As an ancient life realm cultivator, Bing Wushuang was very familiar with the blood illuminates mountains and rivers. As long as he was hit, Fang Chen would die without a doubt. Are you desperate? The flying guillotine looked down from above the blood python and sneered. Right now, do you feel very insignificant, like an ant? I gave you a chance, but you didn't cherish it. You chose this path, so even if you have to hold back your tears, you must walk it to the end. As soon as he finished speaking, the blood-colored flower in the flying guillotine's palm shot out. As it shot out, the blood-colored flower bloomed continuously. Countless blood-red branches spread out, forming a powerful cage in the void. Inside the cage, the smell of blood filled the air and killing intent surged. Seeing this, Fang Chen's expression was still calm, as if he had a card up his sleeve. pretentious and sensationalist. This was the flying guillotine and Bing Wushuang's evaluation of Fang Chen. At the peak of Holy Mountain, many cultivators widened their eyes. Is this the joint attack of the flying guillotine and Bing Wushuang? It's too powerful. Yeah, can't you see that guy is scared silly? I already said that if you go against the flying guillotine and Bing Wushuang, you won't have a good ending. The sounds of discussion were incessant. However, Fang Chen ignored all of this. Inside Dark Cave Mountain, Xiaohua looked at the smooth mirror in the sky and clenched his fists nervously. Big brother, can you block it? Xiaohua murmured. At this moment, he wished he could rush out of Dark Cave Mountain and block this terrifying attack for his big brother. It's all Xiaohua's fault for being useless. Don't worry, Master's strength is not something those ants can imagine. Suddenly, Xuanming's heart said, Master didn't make a move not because he can't block it, but because he doesn't see these two as opponents at all. If there was one who knew Fang Chen well, it would be Xuanming's heart. Really? Xiaohua's face showed a trace of confusion. Just wait and see. The moment Master makes a move, the entire bloodline barrier will tremble, Xuanming's heart said. Xiaohua's eyes looked at the smooth mirror again. In the sky, wherever the blood-colored flower passed, the space collapsed and was directly annihilated. Even the heavenly energy was disintegrated. From this point, it could be seen how powerful the flying guillotine's move was. Whoosh! Fang Chen's body was unknowingly covered in ice and snow, as if his whole body was frozen. He stood on Dark Cave Mountain like a snowman. Trash! The flying guillotine sneered, and Bing Wushuang controlled the ice and snow to attack Fang Chen's primordial spirit. On Holy Mountain, everyone shook their heads. If Fang Chen had made a move in advance, he would have had a chance to escape, but now he had completely lost the chance. Including those tribes that thought highly of Fang Chen, they all sighed. Such a peerless genius was about to die, and he could only blame himself for offending someone he shouldn't have. Bing Wushuang and the flying guillotine's eyes were also burning with passion, as if they could already see the scene of Fang Chen being killed by them. Crack! Just as the blood-colored flower was about to swallow Fang Chen, cracks suddenly appeared on the ice and snow covering his body. In the next moment, the ice and snow cracked and exploded, and ice shards flew all over the sky. Dong! Dong! Fang Chen stomped his foot, and the ice on the cave abyss mountain disappeared without a trace. Even the ice on the myriad holy mountain directly dissipated. Poochie! Bing Wushuang, who had suffered a backlash, retreated quickly, and a trace of blood flowed from the corner of her mouth. Obviously, Bing Wushuang was a little surprised that Fang Chen could break her ice. Bitch, so what if you broke my ice? How can you resist the blood of rivers and mountains? Bing Wushuang quickly regained her calm and said coldly. At this moment, Fang Chen slowly raised his head, and his pitch-black eyes looked at the sky. You know what? From the beginning to the end, I have never treated you two as opponents. Fang Chen said calmly, in my eyes, the two of you are nothing more than ants. Whoosh! Fang Chen raised his hand and gently clenched it. Unexpectedly, the scarlet flower, which caused one's expression to change, ended up in his palm. Chapter 2761. Everyone was shocked. The power contained in the blood-red flower was enough to kill an early-life ancient realm expert, but this guy had crushed it with his bare hands. Wasn't this too exaggerated? Rumble. In the void, the blood-red cage shattered, and a loud explosion rang out. Fang Chen stood in the middle of the storm, letting the wind and rain hit him as he stood there proudly. Indeed, it was just as Fang Chen had said. He didn't take these two clowns to be his opponents at all. Poochie. Blood splashing mountains and rivers was broken, and the guillotine suffered a backlash. His throat moved, and he spat out a mouthful of blood as he was sent flying. What? Not far away, Bing Wushuang's eyes widened as she cried out. At this moment, a faint thought of retreating appeared in his heart. Wasn't this guy too strong? He couldn't imagine how a star ancient realm expert could withstand his and the guillotine's joint attack. One strike had heavily injured two life ancient realm experts. At this moment, Fang Chen was too dazzling. All eyes on the entire myriad Saints Mountain fell on him. The cultivators who had originally mocked him and looked down on him felt a storm in their hearts. They swore that this was the most shocking battle they had ever seen in hundreds of millions of years. Blood-splashing mountains and rivers. Freezing heaven and earth. Bing Wuxuang and the guillotine looked at each other. They weren't willing to give up. If they gave up now, they wouldn't have long to live. So, no matter what, they had to fight. Two angry roars rang out, and the ground was covered in a layer of silver once again. In the sky, a blood-red flower condensed. I've said it before. In my eyes, you're just ants. Dong. Fang Chen gripped the hilt and pulled out the hidden star sword with a slight force. Suddenly, the invincible sword chi shook, and an extremely terrifying power spread out. Whoosh! The sword slashed out, and a hole appeared in the sky. The blood-red flower was cut in half without any resistance, and the silver on the ground instantly evaporated. Poochie! The guillotine and Bing Wuxuang's bodies exploded. Fortunately, they had dodged in time, and managed to avoid the sword light. However, the two of them each had an arm cut off. Blood splashed out, and their auras were extremely dangerous. Holding the hidden star sword in his hand, Fang Chen walked towards the two people step by step. Back then, when you destroyed the Flame Tribe, did you ever think that such a day would come? Fang Chen asked. The flying guillotines and Bing Wuxuang's expressions changed as they were filled with helplessness. You're not from the Fire Tribe, why are you avenging them? The flying guillotine shouted, I swear to you as the chief of the Blood Serpent Tribe. As long as you let me go, we will respect you as the king of the bloodline barrier. That's right. The Ice Tribe is the same. We only ask that you let us go. Bing Wuxuang hurriedly added, besides, you won't get any benefits from killing us. As long as you don't kill us, we're willing to be your slaves. Just a moment ago, they were still high and mighty, but now, in order to survive, they were willing to do anything. At the peak of the holy mountain, everyone was silent as they lowered their heads. Fang Chen's strength was too strong. With his strength alone, he suppressed the entire bloodline barrier. It had been hundreds of millions of years since such a strong expert had appeared. The Ice Tribe and the Blood Serpent Tribe are finished. Someone sighed and shook his head. Hearing their words, Fang Chen sneered. If you had stopped when I tried to stop you back then, this wouldn't have happened, Fang Chen said mockingly. You only have yourselves to blame for the current situation. I didn't want to start a massacre, but you forced my hand. Whoosh! The sword rose and fell, and two heads rolled over. Life ancient realm experts of their generation, the flying guillotine and Bing Wuxuang, had fallen, their bodies and souls destroyed. Moreover, they would become the sinners of their tribes. Their tribes would be completely destroyed because of their foolish decision. After killing the two, Fang Chen opened his palm and a terrifying suction force enveloped the two corpses. In the blink of an eye, the bloodline power in their bodies was completely sucked dry. Then, Fang Chen turned his head and looked at the other cultivators of the two tribes in the distance. All of this was the flying guillotine's own decision. It has nothing to do with our tribe. Yes, our Ice Tribe is willing to compensate. The two tribes hurriedly distanced themselves from the two for fear that Fang Chen would wipe them out. Fang Chen slowly walked over and shook his head. Back then, when I destroyed the Flame Tribe, you charged at the very front. Now, after seeing the two of them die under my sword, you're eager to distance yourselves. Fang Chen sneered and waved his sleeve. A violent sword Dao aura spread out and completely enveloped everyone. Poochie. Streaks of invincible sword chi pierced into the bodies of everyone. They were too weak and couldn't resist at all. A moment later, all the people of the two tribes were dead. On this day, the entire bloodline barrier trembled. Everyone understood that from now on, Fang Chen would be the absolute king of the bloodline barrier. Everyone was silent and lowered their heads. They didn't dare to look directly at Fang Chen for fear of angering him. However, Fang Chen didn't attack them. He put away Immortal Cave Mountain and left. In a mysterious place in the primordial chaos, smoke lingered. Fire Demon Perfected Lord saw this scene through the water curtain and smiled brightly. Beautiful. You didn't waste my attention on you. The disheveled old man also nodded and praised Fang Chen. Nowadays, there are very few people who value friendship as much as he does. Yes, His potential is so heaven-defying and he has the black hole bloodline. I really can't think of any reason for the bloodline king to reject him. The old men were in the same camp. They chatted with each other and were very satisfied with Fang Chen's performance. But this guy destroyed 2 tribes in front of everyone. Given the tolerance of the Ice King and Blood Snake Perfected Lord, they definitely won't let him go if they meet in the future. At least they can't do anything now. On a mountain peak in the bloodline barrier. Brother, you're too powerful. Xiao Hua came out of Immortal Cave Mountain and said excitedly. Fang Chen gently rubbed Xiao Hua's head. The latter was very innocent and looked at Xiao Hua as if he was looking at his younger self. Xiao Hua, I should be leaving the bloodline barrier soon. Do you want to leave with me? Fang Chen asked. The Flame Tribe was destroyed because of him. Although he had taken revenge now, he was still worried about leaving Xiao Hua alone. I don't have any family left. You're the only one I have. No matter where you go, I'll follow you. Xiao Hua said naively. Okay. Fang Chen nodded heavily. With the combat power Fang Chen displayed on Holy Mountain, he was almost invincible in the bloodline barrier. All the tribes kept a respectful distance from him. This way, it became very easy for Fang Chen to collect bloodlines. Every time he arrived at a tribe, he would receive a grand reception. When he explained his purpose, the tribes fought to give him their essence blood. For the tribes, they all had special bloodlines and a little bit of essence blood was nothing. To be able to make friends with Fang Chen was the most important thing. Rip. After coming out of a tribe, it was already late. In Fang Chen's body, the bloodline power shook. Although it seemed chaotic, it did not go berserk. Fortunately, I have the black hole bloodline. Fang Chen could not help but sigh. If not for the black hole bloodline, not to mention absorbing other bloodlines, even after absorbing them, he would not be able to suppress them. He would have exploded and died. Now, with the black hole bloodline, it was easier to absorb other special bloodlines. Moreover, after absorbing them, the black hole bloodline could sort out the various bloodlines and form a deterrent situation, allowing the various bloodlines to coexist. If the experts in the outside world saw this scene, they would definitely be dumbfounded. Because, since ancient times, there were very few people who could have so many special bloodlines. 48 bloodlines. Fang Chen murmured. In addition to the black hole bloodline, the power of 48 bloodlines flowed in his body. He felt that his strength was increasing day by day, which was caused by the special bloodline power. I'll rest for a night. Tomorrow, I'll absorb the last special bloodline, then I can leave the bloodline barrier. Fang Chen stretched and felt that his primordial spirit was a little tired. He found a safe place to rest. At night, one could not see their fingers. In the silent mountain Zhong tribe, there was no light. All the tribesmen were asleep. Raw. Chapter 2762. The Shanzhong tribe was located in the east of the bloodline boundary, far away from the core of the bloodline boundary. Even with Fang Chen's speed, it took him several days to arrive at the Shanzhong tribe. Hey! As soon as he arrived at the Shanzhong tribe, Fang Chen felt something was wrong. I can't feel any aura fluctuations. Fang Chen frowned and stepped into the building of the Shanzhong tribe. What he saw was a devastated land. There were also corpses. Every corpse's head had already been shattered. It was a tragic sight. Moreover, their bloodline power had been sucked dry. No one in the Shanzhong tribe was alive. What happened? Who destroyed the Shanzhong tribe? Fang Chen was even more curious. Although the Shanzhong tribe was not the strongest tribe in the bloodline boundary, it was still above average. However, it was destroyed overnight. It was unbelievable. Fang Chen frowned and looked serious. He only had one bloodline left. After absorbing it, he would be able to leave the bloodline boundary. But now, he encountered such a problem. Could it be that someone is targeting me? Such a question suddenly appeared in Fang Chen's mind. No matter what, I have to find out what happened to the Shanzhong tribe first. Fang Chen said to himself. This was an important matter. He had to treat it seriously. In the following time, Fang Chen carefully investigated the Shanzhong tribe and found many suspicious points. First of all, The injuries of the warriors of the Shanzhong tribe were very uniform. That was, their heads were broken. Other than that, there were no other injuries on their bodies. This was very strange. Second, their bloodline power had been sucked dry, and there were no traces left behind. Combining all the signs, Fang Chen guessed that the murderer of the Shanzhong tribe was not human, but the monster clan. Could it be that there are still powerful monster beasts in the bloodline boundary? His divine sense spread out and covered the entire void. After a while, Fang Chen found a trace of ferocious aura left in the void. "Let's go." Fang Chen's expression changed. He immediately followed the ferocious aura and fled. In the current bloodline barrier, Fang Chen was fully deserving of the title of number 1. Furthermore, he possessed 48 bloodlines. This had already created an unprecedented record. As long as he could obtain the last bloodline, he would be able to leave the bloodline barrier. Therefore, Fang Chen was very concerned about whether the people of the Shanzhong tribe were still alive. Hiding in the void and following that savage aura, Fang Chen arrived in front of a valley several days later. Hey! Fang Chen was a little surprised. There were powerful restrictions around the valley, and from time to time, he could hear the roars of beasts. At the same time, he also felt the residual bloodline aura of Shanzhong in the air. Right here. No matter what, he had to obtain Shanzhong's bloodline. Using the spacetime escape technique, Fang Chen entered the valley in the blink of an eye. Deep within the valley, a beast the size of a small mountain was roaring furiously with a ferocious look on its face. In front of it was a human figure. Shanzhong tribe? Fang Chen looked over and realized that the man was the only survivor of the Shanzhong tribe. Hand over the treasure, the beast roared furiously. The demonic beast shouted angrily. Suddenly, it stretched out its claws and clawed at the warriors of the Mountain Zhong tribe. With a tearing sound, the warrior's arm was broken and blood spurted out. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Fang Chen arrived at the depths of the valley at lightning speed. Swoosh. He opened his palm and the power of the black hole bloodline emerged. Vast power soared into the sky. The blood in the void was quickly sucked into his palm. Buzz. The power of the black hole bloodline quickly refined the Shanzhong bloodline. At the same time, Fang Chen was also discovered by the beast. Roar. The beast let out a furious roar as its mountain-like body charged toward Fang Chen. Dong. Caught off guard, Fang Chen threw out a punch and hit the demonic beast. Dong. 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 Fang Chen's body was forced to retreat. Lowly human. The ferocious beast spoke in human language and emitted a terrifying aura. It launched a fierce and overbearing attack on Fang Chen. Buzz. When the 49th bloodline was completely integrated, Fang Chen's body underwent earth-shattering changes. In the next moment, the 49 bloodline powers above Fang Chen's head merged together and condensed into a ferocious dragon. Roar. The dragon roared and the aura it emitted forced the ferocious beast to retreat. Damn it. Seeing this, the ferocious beast became even more furious and used its most powerful trump card. Suddenly, Fang Chen felt a strong pressure. Just as he was about to dodge, the void distorted and rippled. Then, a hazy figure appeared. Evil beast. Rip. The blurry silhouette waved his hand, and in an instant, the body of the ferocious-looking demonic beast exploded, killing it instantly. Fang Chen's eyes widened. This was too exaggerated. After doing all this, the blurry figure looked at Fang Chen with a smile on his face. He was full of praise for Fang Chen. Not bad. The ferocious dragon figure said. Fang Chen was stunned for a moment and immediately bowed to the hazy figure. Being able to gather 49 special bloodlines is enough to show that you are talented. The hazy figure said, "Let me introduce myself. I am the Bloodline King." Boom. Fang Chen's head buzzed and he was dumbfounded. The Bloodline King was a super expert that existed in legends. In the ancient times, he was already an expert that stood at the top of the immemorial chaos. He did not expect that he would appear in front of him. Bloodline boundary. Fang Chen was shocked. When I built the bloodline boundary, I gathered 49 special bloodlines in the immemorial chaos and refined many scarlet tokens. Anyone who can get a scarlet token can come to the bloodline boundary by activating it in a special way. The blurry figure said, "The purpose of the bloodline barrier is to select the candidates. Over the countless years, there have been very few who have succeeded. It can be counted with one hand. Before you, there hasn't been anyone who has succeeded for trillions of years." At this point, the Bloodline King paused for a moment before continuing. "I saw everything you did in the Bloodline enchantment boundary. You have great potential, and with your own efforts, you evolved your bloodline into the Black Hole bloodline. This allowed you to easily absorb 49 bloodlines. Now, you have succeeded." Candidate Fang Chen was full of doubts. Did the Bloodline King not die in the War of the Gods in the ancient times? Then why did he build the bloodline boundary? For whom and what candidate? Fang Chen was astonished by all of this. However, since the Bloodline King did not say anything, Fang Chen did not ask. "I spent my entire life researching the Tao of bloodlines. After countless years, I finally had some achievements. Then, I had a bold idea." The Bloodline King smiled at Fang Chen. "You are too weak. Even if I told you, you wouldn't understand. All you need to know is that you have passed my test and become one of the candidates. As for the specific information, you will know when your cultivation reaches the limit of the life-ancient realm." With that, the Bloodline King flicked his finger and a light drilled into Fang Chen's forehead. "This mark can save your life," the Bloodline King said. This was the Bloodline King's mark. It could withstand the full strength attack of a life-ancient realm powerhouse. With this mark, Fang Chen could be said to have an extra life. Fang Chen was secretly delighted. He cupped his fists and said, "Many thanks, Bloodline King. Now, it's meaningless for you to stay in the bloodline boundary. You can leave now." Wang. A gap appeared in the void. "After you go out, I will move you to the place where you came in," the Bloodline King said. "However, you must remember not to tell anyone about this." Fang Chen wanted to say something but hesitated. The Bloodline King looked at Fang Chen with a complicated expression. He waved his sleeve and sent him out of the bloodline boundary. Looking at Fang Chen's disappearing figure, the Bloodline King murmured, "You have the strongest potential among the candidates. I hope you can succeed." After that, the hazy figure quickly dissipated, and the bloodline boundary returned to normal. From beginning to end, no one knew what happened in the bloodline boundary. With a flash of white light, Fang Chen found himself back in Tianshu Yuan. Taking a deep breath, Fang Chen's face was full of excitement. After 30,000 years, he finally returned to Tianshu Yuan. The familiar aura, the familiar place, everything was so familiar. Chapter 2763. After 30,000 years of transformation, Tianshu Yuan was no longer the same as before. The disciples of the same generation as Fang Chen had grown into the pillars of Tianshu Yuan. Fu Huan and the other three's cultivation had risen steadily. Now, they were considered top disciples on Tianyun Peak. As for the outstanding geniuses of Tianyun Peak who had fought side by side with Fang Chen in the chaotic Sky City Theater of Operations, some had become elders of Tianshu Yuan, while others had left the sect. In short, the Despair Continent had changed a lot in 30,000 years. "I'm back." Fang Chen took a deep breath and said slowly. In the meeting hall of the main peak, the governor of Tianshu Yuan was discussing important matters with the elders. "Governor, it's almost time for the path debate among the sects. Who will Tianshu Yuan send?" In the previous few times, the disciples sent by Tianshu Yuan had almost all suffered unprecedented losses. Tianshu Yuan couldn't lose again. Otherwise, how could they stabilize their reputation as the #1 force on the Despair Continent? "The Lin family has always been targeting us. Although they didn't dare to start a war because of Lord Hand of Despair's order, that genius who suddenly appeared 30,000 years ago has been constantly attacking our disciples in Tianshu Yuan in recent years. Yes, our Tianshu Yuan has been defeated by the Lin family 4 times in a row." Many of the elders frowned when they talked about the Tao discussion. If Fang Chen was still here, with his potential, he might have already become a master of the life-ancient realm. "We don't have to worry about it." Yes, the most talented genius of the Despair Continent since ancient times. How good would it be if he was still alive? What happened 30,000 years ago? Everyone thought that Fang Chen had died in the explosion of the blood token. Because of this, many of the higher-ups of Qianshu Yuan were moved and felt very regretful. The sound of discussion was endless. Only the governor of Qianshu Yuan sat quietly on the throne, expressionless. No one knew what he was thinking. After listening to the opinions of many elders, the mayor of Qianshu Yuan said, "If it really doesn't work, let Fu Huan and the others go." Now, Fu Huan and the other three had become the top disciples of Qianyun Peak. They were the hope of the next generation of Qianshu Yuan. Dean, this is a matter of great importance. Since the establishment of Qianshu Yuan, we have never lost to the same power 5 times in a row, an elder reminded him. That's right. No matter what, Qianshu Yuan can only win this time. Although Fu Huan and the others have great potential, their cultivation time is too short. After all, they can't take on big responsibilities. It's a bit risky to let them participate in this very important discussion for our Qianshu Yuan. I suggest we recall Lei Yiming. 20,000 years ago, ancient god Thunder Cry had stepped into the life-ancient realm, then began to wander the world. The mayor of Qianshu Yuan nodded lightly. If there was no other way, he could only think of a way to find ancient god Thunder Cry. Otherwise, Qianshu Yuan would really lose to the Lin family 5 times in a row. Dean, I'll go and inquire about ancient god Thunder Cry. Ancient god Thunder Cry had left the Despair continent, and Qianshu Yuan's intelligence agency was unable to determine his whereabouts, so they needed to search for him in advance. Just as the mayor of Qianshu Yuan was about to speak, his primordial spirit suddenly moved slightly. Immediately afterward, his face was filled with shock. Whoosh! The mayor of Qianshu Yuan's figure disappeared in an instant, leaving behind many elders who were full of surprise. Qianyun Peak. The mayor of Qianshu Yuan appeared in an instant. When he saw Fang Chen, he thought his eyes were playing tricks on him. Fang Chen, is that you? The mayor of Qianshu Yuan asked anxiously. Dean. Fang Chen cupped his fists. They hadn't seen each other for 30,000 years, and everything had changed. Ha ha ha, you're still alive. After confirming Fang Chen's identity, the mayor of Qianshu Yuan laughed wildly. Over the past 30,000 years, he had accumulated a lot of emotions. After venting them, the mayor of Qianshu Yuan was in an extremely good mood. Back then, you injected your essence blood into the blood token, causing it to explode. Your physical body was shattered, and your primordial spirit disappeared. At that time, I thought that you had died in the explosion. The mayor of Qianshu Yuan was quite curious about Fang Chen's experiences over the years. Dean. Fang Chen muttered, the explosion of the blood token didn't kill me. It brought me into the bloodline barrier. Fang Chen briefly explained the bloodline barrier to the mayor of Qianshu Yuan, and the latter suddenly understood. So, you've been cultivating in the bloodline barrier for the past 30,000 years? The mayor of Qianshu Yuan asked. Fang Chen nodded, and the latter laughed. No matter what, it's good that you're back. Before, we were still worried about who to send to participate in the path debate of the sects. Now, we can send you directly. Fang Chen's return directly solved a big problem for Qianshu Yuan. However, we can't let the outside world know about your return for the time being. Otherwise, the Lin family will be on guard. Only the mayor of Qianshu Yuan knew about Fang Chen's return. Even many elders were unaware. With the help of the mayor of Qianshu Yuan, Fang Chen changed his appearance and appeared on Qianyun Peak with a different identity. Don't go too far. Fang Chen was walking slowly on the tree-lined road when he suddenly heard a commotion. He looked up and found that there were 4 familiar figures in front of him. Fu Huan. In front of him, Fu Huan and the other 3 stood side by side, their faces full of anger. In front of them was a tall and powerful man, exuding a terrifying aura. Fu Huan, don't forget your identity. The man in purple sneered. We earned the merit points ourselves. Why should we give them to you? Lord Mental Demon said coldly. On the side, Taoist Bantan and Yingxing frowned. Hishan, that's enough. Fu Huan said. Fu Huan, I'll tell you directly. If you don't give me the merit points, you will never have peace in the future. What a big tone. Fang Chen stood up at the right time and said disdainfully, "Who are you?" No one had seen Fang Chen before, so they were a little surprised. "I'm curious. You are not as strong as Fu Huan, but you dare to threaten him. Who gave you the courage?" Fang Chen stared at Hishan and said in a deep voice. Hishan's eyes fell on Fang Chen. "Although my strength is not as good as Fu Huan's, my speed is extremely fast. No one on Tianyun Peak can catch my trace. Think about it. If I want to harass someone, unless he is a master of the life-ancient realm, he can't stop me." Hishan continued, "So, I asked them for 10,000 merit points. It's already merciful. Fast." The faces of Fu Huan and the other three were full of embarrassment. They were strong, but they were threatened by the weak. They were very helpless. "Brother, you don't know. This guy is called Hishan. He has a movement skill that even the mayor of Tianshu Yuan praised. Once he uses it, his speed is extremely fast. Even a master of the life-ancient realm can't catch his trace." Fu Huan smiled bitterly and said, "More importantly, this person's bloodline is very special. He can quietly infiltrate the mind of others and target their primordial spirit." Fu Huan spread out his hands helplessly. Once he was targeted by this guy, he wouldn't be able to cultivate quietly in the future. He couldn't catch up with him. Once he cultivated, he would be harassed. This was also the reason why Hishan could threaten Fu Huan and the other three even though he was weak. Hearing this, Fang Chen felt ridiculous. When the tiger is absent, the monkey will be king. 30,000 years ago, there were many geniuses on Tianyun Peak. Ancient god Lei Ming, Gong Wei, and Pei Ran were all outstanding. And now, 30,000 years had passed, and the disciples had appeared out of nowhere. Moreover, such a black sheep had appeared. Fang Chen shook his head gently. There seemed to be disdain on his face. "He is elder his nephew," Fu Huan said in a low voice. "Oh, I was wondering how you could become a disciple of Tianyun Peak with your potential. It turns out that you got in through the back door." "No wonder," Fang Chen teased. "Who are you? How dare you meddle in other people's business? Believe it or not, I will never let you have a day of peace," Hishan threatened. "Never let me have a day of peace." With a bang, Fang Chen suddenly threw out a punch. It landed heavily on Hishan's body and sent him flying in an instant. "Just you." It was another heavy punch, and Hishan was completely dumbfounded. "Ah." After stabilizing his body, Hishan came to his senses. He roared angrily, his face ferocious. "You are finished. You offended me. From now on, you will never have a day of peace," Hishan said ferociously. Fu Huan on the side also tried to dissuade him. "Brother, thank you for your help. But this Hishan is a little special." Fang Chen waved his hand. "It's okay. He is just a clown." Chapter 2764. In the eyes of Fu Huan and the others, Hishan's speed was extremely fast. Unless one was an expert in the life-ancient realm, it would be difficult to track him down. Once they were entangled with him, they would never have a peaceful day in the future. This also led to many core disciples on the huge heavenly cloud peak not wanting to be enemies with Hishan. They even wanted to leave as soon as they saw Hishan. Of course, there was another reason, and that was his uncle, Elder He. From a certain point of view, Hishan was an out-and-out hedonistic son of rich parents. If it wasn't for Fang Chen's appearance, Fu Huan might have really retreated. "What did you say?" Hearing this, Hishan's face suddenly changed. "You said that I'm a clown?" At this moment, Hishan's face was completely gloomy. "Do you believe that I won't kill you?" Fang Chen shrugged, looking as if he didn't believe Hishan. "You're courting death." Hishan finally couldn't hold back and attacked Fang Chen. Whoosh! His figure flashed and escaped into the void. His speed was extremely fast, leaving behind an afterimage in the void. Not good. Seeing this, Fu Huan and the others cried out in their hearts. They couldn't sense Hishan's existence. They looked at Fang Chen worriedly, but the latter didn't seem to care at all. Pretentious. Hishan, who was hiding in the void, sneered and threw a punch at Fang Chen. Suddenly, a vast fist light appeared behind Fang Chen. Dong! The vast fist light hit Fang Chen's body, and a powerful force suddenly exploded. Deng deng deng. He Shan's body was forced out of the void, and it took him a lot of effort to stabilize his body. He Shan stared at Fang Chen with his eyes wide open. His punch couldn't break through Fang Chen's defense. Soon, He Shan regained his composure and sneered, "No wonder you dare to go against me. It turns out that you have something to rely on. However, do you think that with your strong defense, you'll be able to block my attack?" As soon as he finished speaking, He Shan's figure disappeared into the void once again. From an outsider's point of view, He Shan's movement technique was very special. However, what he didn't know was that Fang Chen didn't even need to use the soul spiritual art to lock onto his position. "A clown is a clown," Fang Chen said calmly. "You think you can do whatever you want just because you've learned some movement techniques? What a joke." Fang Chen raised his palm and extended a finger. "One finger is enough to deal with you." Fang Chen's words completely enraged He Shan. He pushed his movement technique to the extreme. Black shadows constantly shuttled through the void and attacked Fang Chen from all directions. Whoosh! Fang Chen's finger emitted a dazzling light. The light contained an extremely powerful force. When his aura reached its peak, he gently pointed at the void. Wang! A layer of ripples appeared in the void before everything returned to normal. Fu Huan and the other three looked at each other, not knowing what had happened. Catcher! Just as Fang Chen put down his finger, the void suddenly exploded. A sorry figure smashed onto the ground. Poochie! He Shan spat out a mouthful of blood. It seemed that he was seriously injured. How did you find me?" He Shan couldn't believe that no one in Tianyun Peak could discover his movement technique. How did this guy in front of him find him? Was it a trick? "I said, you're just a clown." Dong dong dong. Fang Chen's aura soared. He took a step forward and came in front of He Shan. "Hand over your Sumeru ring." "Impossible." Bang! As soon as He Shan refused, he was knocked out by Fang Chen's punch. "If it weren't for the fact that you're a disciple of Tianyun Peak, you would have died long ago." After saying that, Fang Chen didn't care about anything else and forcibly took He Shan's Sumeru ring. At the same time, he secretly urged the power of the black hole bloodline to refine it. Then, he threw the Sumeru ring to Fu Huan. "He won't dare to trouble you in the future." With that, Fang Chen turned around and left, leaving behind a mysterious and unfathomable back view for everyone. So strong. This person's strength is comparable to the life ancient realm. Most importantly, he can see He Shan's location at a glance. It's too terrifying. When did such a monster appear on Tianyun Peak? Soon, the news that Fang Chen had severely injured He Shan had spread. Many people didn't know that Fang Chen had returned. They only thought that a senior brother who used to cultivate on Tianyun Peak had returned. When Elder He heard the news, he went to find Fang Chen angrily. He wanted to force Fang Chen to admit his mistake with his powerful strength, but he was finally interrupted by the appearance of the Tianshu Yuan's chief. In an elegant courtyard, Fang Chen and the chief of Tianshu Yuan sat on a stone bench and looked at each other. "Dean, can you tell me about the path debate of the sects?" Fang Chen asked. Since he was going to represent Tianshu Yuan, he had to understand it well. After you left, the chief of Tianshu Yuan patiently explained to Fang Chen what had happened in the past 30,000 years. When the latter learned that the dragon controller had come to visit and wanted to take him away, he was quite puzzled. Behind the dragon controller is the Hand of Despair. "I guess your potential has attracted the attention of the Hand of Despair, so he wants to take you away," the chief of Tianshu Yuan said. "However, you disappeared for 30,000 years. Everyone thought you were dead." Fang Chen nodded gently. "Is there any information about the prodigy of the Lin family?" Fang Chen vaguely felt that the prodigy of the Lin family seemed to be somewhat extraordinary. "Over the years, we have collected a lot of information intermittently. However, he rarely goes out and cultivates diligently, so it is difficult to find any useful information." The chief of Tianshu Yuan said helplessly. "However, not long ago, we learned a shocking secret. It is very likely that he came from the distant chaotic void like you." Hearing this, Fang Chen's heart skipped a beat. Could it be that Lin Xiaozhong brought him back? That was the only way to explain it clearly, right? The chief of Qianshu Yuan talked with Fang Chen for the entire night. The chief of Qianshu Yuan even told Fang Chen that if he could win first place in the path debate of the sects this time, there would be a great opportunity waiting for him. Have a good rest. After walking out of Fang Chen's courtyard, the chief of Qianshu Yuan looked up at the dark sky and quickly went to the forbidden area at the back of the mountain. Ancestor. The chief of Qianshu Yuan said softly. Fang Chen is back. The originally silent cave suddenly emitted a powerful force. The chief of Qianshu Yuan couldn't help but take a few steps back. The vines that wrapped around the entrance of the cave all cracked and shattered. For the past 30,000 years, he has been in the bloodline barrier. This time, his strength has increased by leaps and bounds. He already has strength comparable to the life-ancient realm, the chief of Qianshu Yuan continued. After a moment of silence, a voice came from the cave. After the path debate of the sects, send him to the Dead Star realm. Yes, ancestor. Once Fang Chen's identity was exposed, it would definitely attract a lot of attention. Moreover, the Hand of Despair was also very concerned about Fang Chen, so the Dead Star realm might be an excellent place to go. Thinking of the Dead Star realm, the chief of Qianshu Yuan's face lit up. At the center of the continent of despair, on a towering mountain peak. In front of the thatched hut, the dragon controller stood respectfully, surrounded by golden dragons. The entire world was filled with an extremely oppressive aura. After a long time, with a creak, the Hand of Despair walked out. The path debate of the sects is about to begin, the Hand of Despair muttered, standing with his hands behind his back, looking at the blue sky. After the path debate of the sects, I should be able to cultivate the divine technique, right? Hearing this, the dragon controller's heart trembled. As a capable subordinate of the Hand of Despair, he naturally knew very well. Every path debate of the sects was actually a selection of talented disciples with excellent potential and strength for the Hand of Despair. Then, the Hand of Despair would secretly attack and devour them in order to cultivate its own secret technique. What a pity. If that little guy hadn't died, I might have already succeeded. When the Hand of Despair had noticed Fang Chen, he had sent the dragon controller to capture him. Unexpectedly, by the time the dragon controller had arrived, Fang Chen had already died. This wait had been 30,000 years. The haze on the Hand of Despair's face disappeared, replaced by a bright smile. As long as I can succeed, what is a mere 30,000 years? Master is the chosen one. You will definitely succeed in standing at the peak of the primordial chaos, the dragon controller flattered. Whoosh! The Hand of Despair flicked his finger, and a ray of light drilled into the dragon controller's forehead. Thank you, Master. The dragon controller's body trembled, and he immediately thanked him excitedly. Chapter 2765. The summit of the Great Path was the grandest event on the continent of despair. Every time the summit of the Great Path was held, the major forces would send some powerful star ancient realm cultivators to spar with each other. Moreover, the outcome of the summit of the Great Path would directly affect the distribution of the 108 cities on the continent of despair. This was also a matter that the major forces attached great importance to. Before this, Qianshu Yuan had already lost several times in a row. If they lost again this time, Qianshu Yuan would have to give up 3 cities under its name. This would be a great loss for Qianshu Yuan. Therefore, many of the higher-ups of Qianshu Yuan were very anxious. However, now that Fang Chen had returned, the chief of Qianshu Yuan was completely relieved. Unfortunately, he couldn't expose Fang Chen's identity for the time being. There was still half a month before the summit of the Great Path. The chief of Qianshu Yuan led many disciples and left Qianshu Yuan. The summit of the Great Path was held in the southwest of the Fu clan's territory. Shilong City was a city under the name of the Fu clan in the southwest. This city was very famous on the continent of despair because the city lord of this city was ranked in the top 10 among the 108 blood spirits. On the continent of despair, when the name of ancient god Shilong was mentioned, everyone's expression changed. Half a month later, Fang Chen and the others arrived at Shilong City without a hitch. Is this Shilong City? Fang Chen looked up at the magnificent city in front of him and whispered. Fu Huan and the others on the side widened their eyes and screamed out loud. As expected of Shilong City. This level of glory is no less than any of the cities under the name of Tianshu Yuan. Yes, I heard that ancient god Shilong is ranked in the top 10 among the 108 blood spirits. I wonder if we can see ancient god Shilong this time. For a moment, many whispers spread. Because it was the time of the summit of the Great Path, the security of Shilong City was very strict. Ordinary people couldn't enter at all. The chief of Tianshu Yuan. The person in charge of guarding the city gate was the elder of the Fu clan in the southwest. He knew the chief of Tianshu Yuan. When he saw the latter, he hurried over. This way, please. Soon, the elder of the Fu family led the people from Tianshu Yuan into Shilong City. In front of the central plaza of Shilong City, there were 3 big mansions. It was obvious that they were newly built. On the far left was the Tianshu Manor, in the middle was the Lin Manor, and on the right was the Tianshu Manor. As for the manor on the right, there was no name. In front of the 3 mansions was a square, where the Tao Symposium would be held. Tianshu Yuan has come a long way. You must be tired from the long journey. Please rest first. The head of the family will be here soon, the elder of the Fu family said with a smile. Fang Chen and his group walked into Tianshu Yuan under the lead of the Tianshu Yuan chief. Boom. At this moment, a vast and mighty power came from the distant horizon. Then, numerous figures descended from the sky. Everyone frowned, feeling extremely displeased. Humph, isn't the Lin family too arrogant? Fu Huan said in a deep voice. Everyone else walked into Shilong City, but the Lin family flew in directly. This was a blatant disregard for the Fu family in the southwest. Sure enough, the elder of the Fu family who had just left was displeased, but he didn't dare to say anything. He still pretended to be smiling as he welcomed the Lin family. The leader was dressed in a green robe. When he walked to the front of the Lin manor, he turned his head and glanced at the Tianshu Yuan chief. Tianshu old man, we meet again. The head of the Lin family said coldly, Tianshu Yuan has lost so many times in a row. If you lose again this time, prepare to give up 3 cities. The Lin family came prepared and was very confident. You'd better take care of your Lin family. The 2 powerful figures were at each other's throats. The air was full of tension. Fang Chen's gaze swept across the Lin family and finally fell on a man in a black robe. When he looked at the man in the black robe, the latter happened to look at him as well. When their eyes met, Fang Chen's heart trembled. The supreme ancestral eye automatically activated. The corners of the man in the black robe curled up, revealing a sinister smile. He stretched out his hand and gestured at his neck. Then, he turned around and entered the Lin manor. Supreme ancestral eye? He has it too. At this moment, Fang Chen was quite shocked. He didn't expect that other than him, there was someone else who had the supreme ancestral eye. This person is a formidable opponent. Fang Chen felt a strong sense of danger from him. In a few days, the 3 major factions had all gathered. The other first-rate factions had also arrived at Shilong City. For a time, Shilong City was extremely lively. Buzz. Ripples suddenly appeared in the sky. Fang Chen's body tensed up. Just as he was about to speak, he saw a figure appear in the void not far away. This person didn't release any aura, but he gave Fang Chen endless pressure. The mayor of Tianshu Yuan is here. Please forgive me for not going out to meet you. Ancient god Shilong, how have you been? The mayor of Tianshu Yuan stepped forward and looked at ancient god Shilong from a distance. Is he ancient god Shilong? Fang Chen murmured. It was hard to imagine that this seemingly weak man in front of him was actually one of the top 10 experts of the legendary 108 blood fiends. Patriarch Fu has arrived. I would like to invite the mayor of Tianshu Yuan for a chat, ancient god Shilong said directly. Very well. The mayor of Tianshu Yuan nodded and left with ancient god Shilong thump. Thump. Fu Huan found Fang Chen. Brother Tianshu, this time, my Tianshu Yuan is relying on you, Fu Huan said with a smile. Tianshu was the name that the mayor of Tianshu Yuan had given to Fang Chen, meaning that he would be the next dean of Tianshu Yuan. At the same time, One could see how much importance the mayor of Qianshu Yuan placed on him. Fang Chen nodded lightly and chatted with Fu Huan. In the garden of the Lin mansion, the black-robed man looked at the void, the supreme power of the ancestral eye circling around him. A hint of excitement appeared on his face. I really didn't expect to meet the supreme ancestral eye here. The black-robed man licked his dry lips and said sinisterly. He vaguely remembered that his master had said before his death that in the vast primal chaos realm, there were 3 ancestral eyes in every primal chaos void. After reaching a certain level, they could evolve into the supreme ancestral eye. The only way to evolve the supreme ancestral eye was to devour the other supreme ancestral eyes. However, it was easier said than done. It was very difficult for one person to gather all the ancestral eyes that were scattered everywhere. Taking a step back, even if one gathered all of them, they might not evolve into the supreme ancestral eye. Moreover, even if they evolved into the supreme ancestral eye, they might not meet in the vast sea of people. Therefore, when the black-robed martial artist saw Fang Chen, he was ecstatic. If I devour your supreme ancestral eye, my strength will definitely skyrocket. The black-robed man said sinisterly. He had no choice but to join the Lin family. Once he had enough strength, he would definitely leave the continent of despair and head to that exquisite and vast stage. After many days of discussion, the path debate of the sects finally officially began. On this day, many martial artists participating in the path debate gathered in the square. On the rostrum in front of the square, the patriarch of the Lin family, the patriarch of the Fu family, the pavilion master of the Dark Wind Pavilion, ancient god Shilong, and the others sat down one after another. Amidst the anticipation of the crowd, the elder in charge of the path debate of the sects announced the start of the competition. This path debate of the sects will be the same as before. Each faction can send 10 disciples to participate in the competition. In the end, the overall results will be compared to determine the ownership of the 108 cities, a white-haired elder said slowly. Friendship comes first, competition comes second. Therefore, when the disciples spar with each other, they must not go overboard. If anyone uses this opportunity to kill someone with malice, they will be severely punished. Fang Chen's gaze was fixed on the black-robed man from the Lin family. This person also had the supreme ancestral eye, and the power in his body was surging. He was definitely a formidable opponent. After a simple introduction of the rules of the competition, everyone understood. The Dark Wind Pavilion prodigy's face was full of confidence. This time, the Dark Wind Pavilion will definitely achieve a good result. Stop Qianshu Yuan with all our strength. This was the voice of the Lin family. As for the Fu family of the southwest, they had remained calm. The black-robed martial artist from the Lin family, Fu Jin from the Fu family of the southwest, and Ting Fang of the Dark Wind Pavilion. Fang Chen muttered these names. In this path debate of the sects, these people were considered first-tier prodigies. As long as he defeated them, he could ensure the safety of Qianshu Yuan. However, just as Fang Chen turned his head, a man in plain clothes in the corner of the square caught his attention. Chem,